Oh my gosh, I hate double clicking. 1 second. Here's my bestie. Hey.
Hello.
Tap the screen, guys. Let's get people in here. Share the live. If you don't have anyone to share with, just push the copy link button. That counts as sharing. Tap, tap, tap. Gift, subscribe, help me meet my subscription goal. I'm trying to get to my subscription goal today. It helps me survive each month and be allowed to do this, which is my pleasure. We have so many things to talk about today. Man, has the news been wild. Because Tuesday we don't do the people's receipts on Tuesday, so I feel like there's been 48 hours of just pure insanity. When I actually slept from like 7 p.m. to like 3 p.m. Anna, thank you so much for subscribing, Anna. It is so much appreciated. You don't even know. Anna. Thank you guys. Keep tapping the screen. Keep sharing the live. Let's try to get to 100K as fast as possible. We are doing so much better with our tapping. It's helping us in the algorithm. I mean, this is the technical 2-week anniversary of the people's receipts, and our engagement is like double this week than what it was the week before. So
Wow.
I know we're doing an amazing job. So I'm super excited, and I want to make sure. Oh, Ohad, you found me. I can't debate right now about Israel, but it is nice that you found me.
We all know Ohad.
You do know Ohad? Oh, see?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's so funny. I haven't seen you, though, Ohad. Nice to know you're still around arguing with people about Israel. I would like to know your opinion on Israel unloading on Syria, who's going through a complete upheaval. I would like to hear you justify that. You know, the UN seems to have a big problem with that. But I just don't have time to talk about it today because we have such a full schedule of things to talk. Oh, you do want to talk about it. I know. Oh, I really can't right now. It's not on the outline. But another time we can definitely talk about it. Or Pickles and I go live at night and debate, like usually around, well, wait, you're in France, so I'm not even going to try to guess. Well, like probably like, let's say 6 or 7 p.m. Central Time. And then whatever that time is for you in France, you should come talk to us and we can discuss it. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much. Guys.
He's been on my live.
Oh,
He's playing dumb, yeah. He's been on my live like 3 times.
Do I hear myself? Well, I don't know what that, I mean, yes, I can hear myself speaking. That's what these earphones are for. Guys, also, in the merch store, I never wear sweatshirts. I'm probably going to take it off. I'm already hot, but I was cold for 1 second. Crew neck sweatshirts.
Oh, snap.
They are my favorite. Yeah, the link to the merch store is in my link tree. And we're also going to be, thank you so, Tiffany, don't make me cry. That is the nicest thing. She said I'm her favorite TikToker. I'm not even my favorite TikToker. That's the coolest thing ever. Yes, Ohad, I do hear myself, and sometime we should talk about it. I love that you've talked to Ohad. Everyone should have the experience of talking to someone with a thick French accent that regardless of what you say, it's like they're not listening. I do love the French.
I've had to start booting him for my stream because it was like right before the election. He wanted to come in and talk about stuff from France. I'm like, yeah, man, just you don't go here.
Oh, are you one of those? See, I don't feel that way. Like, I've lived in other countries. I think people should think more about how, like, American politics does affect the entire world. I will say that. Like, but I guess I understand. I mean, I mean, you're looking at what the way that American politics goes. That's the difference between foreign aid. That's the difference between tariffs. That's the difference in sanctions for a lot of countries. So, like, I definitely understand why the world
Yeah,
follows
I
American politics.
I totally get that too. But like 2 weeks before the election, like I really want to talk to voters. You know?
Wait, oh, I didn't see your question. You don't know what TikTok. Doing this live from TikTok Studio, and I wish everyone could see what people who are using TikTok Studio see, so you could understand that I'm not ignoring you. Wait. Oh, is that what Israel's claiming now? Okay. Okay. No, I mean, is that why they're saying they were doing that when the UN is like condemning what they're up to? Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a good excuse. They've said a lot of things. It's just hard for me because so many groups directly prove a lot of things that Israel says to be completely untrue. But yeah, like I don't deny that like Bashar al-Assad has absolutely used chemical weapons on his own people. Yeah, I mean, and it's horrible and it's wrong. I don't know if what Israel is doing right now is targeting those. And I also don't know, like, I'm not an expert on weapons, but is it a good thing to blow up chemical weapons? Or is that actually more dangerous for people? I don't know the proper way to dispose of them, but I have a feeling it's not, blowing them up. I'm not an expert on that though. I'm just saying, like, something tells me if we ask someone who knew like how you dispose of chemical weapons, that would not be what they suggest. Yay, Nemo's here. This is like playtime. I thought you were not coming. Hey, Tweaks 502W, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate it so much. Keep tapping the screen, guys. We almost have 200 people in here and the playpen is almost full. It's like, I don't know what, hold on. Is this right? Again, I can't, I'm in TikTok Studio. So is that okay, Nemo? Is your name next to you? Pickles, are you inside of an ice machine?
I swear to God, I just checked if I was muted before I ran to the fridge.
It sounds like you are inside of an ice machine. No, it's fine. It's funny. What did you say? Should I put at next to it? Is that okay? Is it in the right place? It's just hard for me to tell in TikTok Studio because sometimes I think it is in the right place and it's not. Just answer me again because I couldn't hear you. Nemo. Are you?
Give me 1 minute.
Oh, okay. We're almost all together here, guys. We have so many things to talk about. I'm about to blow your minds. It's been 36 hours of insanity, and we are going to chat about it. Let me pull up. Now I pinned my live goal. Winning. Okay. Almost ready, guys. And we are live on YouTube, by the way, pushing this to YouTube, to Twitch as well. Actually in other places, but mainly to YouTube and Twitch. Those are the places I've logged into. I made a bunch of accounts, different places, and have started pushing my lives there, but don't even really know how to actually log in and like see if it's working correctly. So I've figured out the technology, but I'll be updating you on that. But just in case of a TikTok ban or whatever, I'm definitely probably going to be migrating mostly to YouTube and then still pushing the lives to other places. But if you don't follow me on YouTube, it's a girl has no name. And again, if you would like to support creators, especially me, it is much appreciated if you would like a message, you have a question, dad joke, whatever, read aloud on the stream. This is my Venmo and Cash App. Nemo's Venmo and Cash App. Well, Nemo seems to have disappeared. I'm not sure where Nemo just went, but Pickles' Venmo and Cash App is right next to him as well. Please tap the screen. Please gift our creators throughout the show. It is much appreciated. Hopefully Nemo is not missing, and we'll be right back. I think he probably will be. Nap time for Nemo. Thank you guys so much for the subscriptions. I'm not sure who, Lala, Mike, Mark, received them. I'm not, who bought the subscriptions. Whoever bought the subscriptions. Ohad, we are not talking. I'm sorry, we're not doing the Israel thing right now. We have, in case you've noticed, we have some things going on in America we need to discuss. I told you though, if you're going to be awake later, Pickles and I debate at night, like usually around 6, 7 p.m. Central Time. But truly, we have a schedule today. I don't know which one you're talking about. America is full of those. I don't, I mean, choose one. You're in a mood today, and very hypocritical, Ohad. It's nice to see you, though. Pickles, are you there?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay, just double checking. I told you I was going to blow. You guys are not going to believe what's going on. I did not plan on talking about this, but this is, I know, in the comments, yeah, exactly. The hypocrisy of Ohad in the comments is just... The F are you talking about? Ask the ICC who's unaliving people. Yeah, I think they're looking for your boy. Anyways, you guys prepare yourselves, everybody. Nancy Mace is back at it. This just came up, or actually it didn't just come up, but she was alluding to it like in the middle of the night last night. And I was just like, oh no. Remember the last story I told you about our girl, Nancy? Like the last thing that happened, just in case you weren't here or you need your memory jog, Nancy Mace, who used to be an outspoken advocate of the LGBTQIA, in 2021 actually co-sponsored legislation to protect the trans community, right? And now she's doing
really?
Yes,
I didn't know that about her.
I swear you were here when we went through it, but maybe not actually. Maybe it just happened to be on a day you were gone. No, she was the most outspoken advocate of the LGBTQIA. You can look up. Yeah. There's articles, like it's called A Caucus of One, I think, which is a New York Times article. And she branded herself when she went to the House, like originally as like a caucus of one. I'm the most moderate of the moderate Republicans. I support the LGBTQIA. She said, like, I myself have been SA'd. So, she wasn't saying she was like completely pro-choice, but she was basically saying, because I've been, graped, I understand the need for ABs. And like, she was just trying to be the most moderate of the moderates and say, like, I'm going to carve a new path for Republicans. And like, I was showing her tweets from 2021. There's one that was like, oh, we didn't have pride in 2020 because of COVID. 2021 in the Low Country, which is South Carolina.
Oh, I remember this now. I remember that part.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember that part. Okay.
Oh yeah, she was an outspoken advocate not 3 years ago for the LGBTQIA, and then Trump threatened to primary her, and she did like a whole 180. Guys, keep tapping the screen, share the live. We want to get to 100K as fast as possible. Yeah, definitely go read up on it. It's in the outlines. Again, if you need a link to the Discord, just message at Feliz Navidad Live or say you would like a link to the Discord. It's in past outlines. I've definitely touched on it pretty much every other day. Like I have screenshotted everything on her account that shows that she used to support the LGBTQIA. There's links to the things, I've pretty much called her out for the hypocrisy. So again, everything I show on these lives are in the outlines and available in the live sources section in the Discord. So yeah, I promise it's not hard to find it. Just Google, I'm sure if you just Google Nancy Mace LGBTQIA support, Like it will come up because I'm not the only person actively pointing out that she is a giant hypocrite. So what is she? Okay. So just to remind you, jog your memory, if you don't remember the last embarrassing thing she was up to, which I believe was last Friday. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, it would be in Friday's outline. What happened on Friday was all of a sudden people started reporting, mainly Republicans, that she was emailing on Capitol Hill, the like Republican congressional handle where like all of the Republicans on Capitol Hill are copied and get these emails. And she was asking for a bullhorn, which is for Nancy Mace a terrible sign. And she literally found a bullhorn. No one knows how. And I had screenshots like Fox News reporters are like, oh my God, she has a bullhorn. And it turns out like the trans community was protesting her bathroom ban bill and had showed up on Capitol Hill and they were doing some like chants and protesting. She shows up with a bullhorn. Well, first of all, they were like about half of them were arrested. She follows them to the Capitol Hill Police Department with her bullhorn and has her aide film her while screaming their Miranda rights into a bullhorn. It was extreme. Yeah. Oh yeah. You weren't here last Friday. It was really obnoxious. It was it was bad form. It was really gross. So that was the last thing she's done. And then she started like tweeting a few hours ago, like, I'll show you in a second, but just saying these ominous things like, oh, I should be able, you shouldn't be assaulted. And I was like, oh, here we go. Something weird's happening. And then this article just came out and I was like, I knew it. I knew something was weird about what Nancy Mace is up to. So basically, she is a big advocate or used to be an LGBTQIA advocate, but her other thing is like foster care. She supports all of these charities for foster children, foster youth, specifically older foster youth, who are trapped in the system and things of that nature, who tend to be a lot of times trans, part of the LGBTQIA, things of that nature. Hi, Lisa. Guys, keep tapping the screen, share the live. We appreciate it so much. And gift pickles. Okay. So this is what happened. Apparently. And I think I'm going to assume for mainstream media to be printing this, basically Nancy Mace is saying that at a charity event for foster youth that she showed up at, she was assaulted. But pretty much everybody that runs the charity and people that are there are saying that it's a lie. So it says the head of a foster care advocacy group is. Can you guys see that? Yeah, okay, you can. Is disputing allegations that one of its members assaulted Representative Nancy Mace during a reception Tuesday night at the Rayburn House office building on Capitol Hill, saying the two merely shook hands during what appeared to be an amicable greeting. And there's a lot of people. There were many people there that are all telling the same story. I know. This is
It's exhausting.
I know. Every day it's something else. So U.S. Capitol Police said James McIntyre, so the co-founder of the Illinois chapter of Foster Care Alumni of America, was arrested and faces a charge of assaulting a government official, a spokesperson for the police agency. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what happened. But listen to what people are saying really happened, or people who witnessed the whole thing. So this man's name is Elliot Hinkle. He's a foster care advocate from Wyoming. He said he was standing near McIntyre. So this is someone who's like, I was right there and I'm a witness. He was standing near McIntyre as Mace headed for the room's exit. He said McIntyre reached out his hand and Mace reached out hers. He said McIntyre used both hands to shake the Congresswoman's hand. Quote, what we witnessed was a passionate handshake, but it didn't look like an assault or intended aggression, Hinkle said of the several people he saw that saw the encounter. He said McIntyre told Mace, quote, trans youth are also foster youth and they need your support. Yeah, that's it.
Oof.
Yeah, I know. How dare he? How dare he burn? How dare he say something very true? Like, trans people have some of the highest rates of homelessness in America. Like, it's not up for debate. April
Yep.
Curtis, chair of the Alexandria based Foster Care Alumni of America, said the allegations and arrest stunned advocates, many of them young people, who came to Washington to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the passage of a law that expanded federal support for foster care. Like, this is supposed to be a cool thing where like foster care youth and other advocates get to show up, meet Congress people, shake hands, who are also advocates of foster care. I mean, it's unbelievable. People, quote, people are told it's safe to come here and educate and advocate, Curtis said, and you shake someone's hand and you're accused of assaulting them. She said numerous people she talked with provided versions consistent with Hinkle's. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, pretty much everyone that was there is like, we have no idea what this woman was talking about. We were all standing right there. Oh, Dale, why are you here? It's nice to see you, though, Dale. I've missed you harassing me. That's David in the comments. If anyone's wondering why I'm talking to someone named Dale and you can't identify who it is, I'm talking to David. So listen to it gets weird. In a statement, Capitol Police said the incident occurred shortly before 6 p.m. Police said officers and agents with its threat assessment section located McIntyre and arrested him after conducting an investigative interview. Basically, he had just left the event and went home. Nothing happened. They called him. He came back and arrested him. But I mean, yeah, I want to get to the part where So this is what, again, one of the witnesses, the main witness, his last name Hinkle, said. Given her posture on transgender rights, Hinkle said he was taken aback to see Mace in attendance. The event drew a number of advocates for the LGBTQ plus community, which is overrepresented among foster youths. Like, as she headed for the exit, Hinkle said, McIntyre approached Mace and said, hello. McIntyre did not appear angry as he interacted with Mace, Hinkle said, adding that, quote, her face when she first saw him appeared welcoming. So she's smiling and everything's fine. As she headed for the exit, Hinkle said McIntyre approached Mason. Oh, sorry. I think I just read that. A short time later, Hinkle said Capitol police officers showed up at the reception. By that time, he said McIntyre had left Rayburn. He said the police contacted McIntyre, who returned to the building and was arrested outside. It could not be determined whether or not the encounter was captured on video or whether there is surveillance camera in the room where the reception was held. I hope there was, but apparently there's at least, it seems like from the internet, from what I've seen people tweeting and stuff, I mean, there's at least 10 people that completely dispute her account of events and are like, they shook hands. Keep tapping the screen, guys. Share the live. Gift Pickles. This is my Cash App and Venmo's. Pickles is next to his. We so appreciate your support. If you would like a link to the Discord where the links to all these articles and clips will be, just message at Feliz Navidad Live. This is a TikTok business account. Oh, I'm doing Chrissy's job for her. Sorry, Chrissy.
No, it's okay. I was just coming up to you and make sure that everyone is gifting.
By the blackmailer at Susie. What's going on? Are you playing music or something?
I don't know. It feels like my phone is talking. I'm going to get off.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like, is there a book playing or something? It sounds like, it sounds like there's a book or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, it's stopped now, so go ahead. You can talk. It's not happening now. I don't know. Let me show you, though. I want to pull up really quick because I went to Nancy Mace's. It gets a little bit weirder. It always does with Nancy. I did go to her X account or Twitter, excuse me. I refuse to say the name X. And I just want to say, this is what she started posting, like when I first started seeing it, because I follow her. She said, I was physically accosted at the Capitol tonight by a pro-trans man, which, okay, again, it's a weird thing to call someone a pro-trans man, foster care advocate. They were at an event for foster care youth and advocates and people that are donating to charities of foster care. And it was
I've literally never heard that term before. Pro-trans, man.
Because that's what she wants people to know. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I guess that means a supporter.
Someone who thinks science is real?
Yeah, but I think the reason is because she, this is all about attention for her. This is her letting people know that, like, in some way she's a victim. I just want to stress again that there are apparently people are disputing that nothing she's saying is true, that these people shook hands and the man basically said, hey, like, if you support foster youth, you should know, like, a lot of them, a lot of foster youth are disproportionately also part of the LGBTQIA, like the causes go hand in hand kind of thing. And she said, one new brace for my wrist and some ice for my arm, and it'll heal just fine. The Capitol Police arrested the guy. Your trans violence and threats on my life will only make me double down. FAFO. #hold the line.
Shut up.
I know, literally. Make it stop. Like, and people who are surrounding her while this incident happened are like, yes, I saw two people shake hands. And she's like, I have a wrist brace. But if you, again, think this is the same person that when she realized that there was a peaceful protest going on Capitol Hill Friday, she started mass emailing other Republicans and asking and trying to locate a bullhorn to go harass them, right? Thank you so much for the cat hands. I love a cat massage. Oh, and then look at this. I forgot about this one. I forgot I put 2 on each one. This guy was essentially 3 times my size by weight. What does that mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is she purposely pointing out he's overweight? Like, she's attacking his appearance? Like, she doesn't want people to think she means tall? Do you know what I'm saying? 3 times my size by weight, and he's a grown man. Stop making excuses for assaults on women. How many people around? Well, enough so a major publication like the Washington Post would publish an article basically disputing that this isn't true, right? Like, that's why I took those screenshots, because I was shocked because, usually if it's like a he said, she said, or, and people like, no, that didn't happen. You won't have like a major publication coming out hours later and being like, well, everyone there says it didn't happen. But that's what the Washington Post put out an article today interviewing people who were like, I was standing right there. This man shook her hand. And so I don't know what to tell. I mean, that's why I'm pointing it out.
Felony assault charges. That sucks.
Yeah. Well, and think about it, because it's worse because she, she's a Congress. I can't remember what the actual wording is. The
government official?
Yeah, exactly. It's different. It's not just like, that's really, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. I just hope it's on tape, because they're in Rayburn House on Capitol Hill. I mean, there's very few places on Capitol Hill that do not have some sort of video surveillance. So I just hope that there's film of it. And then she goes on to say, this is what the left does to women. How do you know if he's left or right? This is just a person who was at a fundraiser or, a celebration for foster care youth and advocates of the cause.
Hey. Hopefully my background is not playing Elementary anymore. Am I frozen?
No, we hear you.
I was just coming up to say, if we can get to 100,000 before 3:30, I would really appreciate that. Everyone keep tapping and gifting. Don't forget to join Pickle's Discord and Felice's Discord. Thank you to whoever is sending all of those subscriptions. That's so amazing. It's awesome. Subscribe to Pickles. And hopefully I don't have to come back up in 30 minutes and get on, you guys. I know we got this. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Guys, keep tapping the screen. You guys are doing an amazing job. I so appreciate it. Dale wants to know, why would she lie? No, I don't. What I'm pointing out here is that people who were at the event and have, I guess, also talked to Capitol Police have said they were standing there and this did not happen. That's I'm just telling you what the article says. But here's the interesting part, right? I mean, this is free speech should be free. No one should be assaulted for their beliefs or their bills. Yes, I was physically accosted tonight, more to come. I'm just showing you what was on. This is not her government, by the way. This is not her government account. This is her other one. Oopsies. Yeah, so I forgot to post it. There's another post where, oh, here it is. Thank you, President Trump, for the call just now to check in on me. I'm going to be fine just as soon as the pain and soreness subside.
Literally, what a drama queen. Seriously.
So what's in her bio on Insta says former Waffle House waitress? What? Someone just said in the comments, that's funny. So again, I'm just pointing out that there is an article, which I've never seen before, the Washington Post do something like that. Hours later, they are a bunch of people at this event have been interviewed, and I guess also talked to Capitol Police, and are just simply saying, hey, I was there, I was standing there, it was a handshake. So we shall see. And like I said, I just hope it's on video. Like, that would be probably the best thing for everyone involved. Give me 1 second. And we have some weird things I want to talk about. Oh, quickly, and I don't know if anyone heard about this. This also happened just recently. So do you know how the Onion was being bought or in like an auction format? It was like I don't want to call it a silent auction. It's not a silent auction, but it was like a blind auction, maybe is the right words. Like, no one knew what the amounts of the bids were in the auction. And it was run by like a trustee, essentially. And they auctioned off InfoWars to the Onion, or the parent company of the Onion. Well, a judge rejects the sale based it's a Houston judge who, I'm just going to try to get this right. Hold on, let me think. Basically, he said that they don't think that the auction yielded enough money because the bids were blind. But he doesn't want to get another judge involved. He just wants that same trustee to handle it however he sees fit, but make sure that it's sold off for the right amount. I guess he just thinks the bids were undervalued. So essentially, that trustee who handled the auction needs to kind of go back and decide how to do it and levy more money. So I don't know if there will be bid processes, and it really didn't say, but it just said like he doesn't want there to be another judge involved. He's just basically telling the man who did the original, let's call it a blind auction or whatever, to make sure that the it's sold for the right amount so that the people that sued Alex Jones get the most for their money. But I mean, that's what Alex Jones wanted. And I didn't find a video, but I read in this article that after the judgment, Alex Jones went on the internet yesterday and was like, see, I told you, they were implying
That's
that
what I was just thinking, yeah,
that bid was so low and that the trustee or whoever was in charge of the auction, chose the Onion, in a biased way. I don't know if that's true or not. The judge didn't say that's what happened. He basically was just like, that's too low of an amount. It's worth more. Figure it out. So I thought, yeah, these things all just came up this morning. So I want to make sure I just talk about. Oh, yeah, here's another one. Did you guys see this? This didn't happen this morning. It happened yesterday, but it happened again. Mitch fell. And I think he did not catch himself. Like, I know he hurt his hand, but like, I'm pretty sure he hit his face. Yeah. So I'm just letting, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but someone just said, thank God the ground didn't get hurt. It says, again, he was at a lunch. He fell during a closed door lunch, spraining his wrist and sustaining a minor cut to his face. The interesting thing, I don't know if you guys remembered this, but because Mitch McConnell is, probably the Republican that has consolidated the most power, like in the history of politics, he has already planned for this. Like, if he happens to unalive or, let's say, not be able to finish his term, he changed like the laws and I'm not even clear on this. Like, I know that Andy Beshear, our blue dot in a sea of red in Kentucky, there is a Democratic governor in Kentucky. He is a former attorney general. He's kind of a legacy. I think his dad was also in power in some way there. His name's Andy Beshear. Well, Andy Beshear said that he thinks that it's illegal what Mitch McConnell did. But I know that Mitch McConnell, instead of allowing what used to previously be the law, I think, which would be the governor of Kentucky, if Mitch McConnell can't finish his term, would appoint someone. Mitch McConnell somehow finagled something and changed the law and basically said that if something happens to Mitch, that Andy Beshear has to choose between 3 Republicans. Andy Beshear is a lawyer. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he used to be the Attorney General of Kentucky, and I think he will dispute it. But yeah, I was curious, like when I heard this happened, if Mitch goes down, like what would happen to his seat? I guess Mitch already accounted for it.
I love Andy Beshear.
Me too. I love Andy Beshear. He is the blueprint. Andy Beshear is great. I love how to Andy Beshear, there is no federal government. All he talks about is hyper local issues, what's important, to coal miners in East Kentucky. Yeah, I'm a huge Andy Beshear. Don't get me started on him. He's
his little accent.
Dave's. I know. I love it. Now let's talk about the kayaker. Pickles and I are obsessed with this story. We were talking about it last Wednesday when we were debating, if you were there. If not, know that Pickles and I debate at nights. He usually goes live around 6 p.m. Central Time, and you should definitely check it out if you don't. But has everyone heard of this guy? Yes, Wisconsin dude. This is a man from Wisconsin who has 3 kids, right? He has 3 kids, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he allegedly went kayaking and disappeared. And then his kids and his wife, he's married with 3 children, are doing these pleas. They're putting out public videos everyone search in the lake to find our dad. We love him. We don't know what happened. We don't think he drowned. It's so sad. And guess what? And then, so the sheriff's office got involved, which is a big deal, because if you're not really missing and then you're wasting tax dollars, Wisconsin tax dollars, for people to search for you, that becomes a crime. And guess where he turned up? Uzbekistan. And I wish I was kidding. With probably someone who may or may not be his girlfriend. We don't know. A woman basically contacted officials and was like, you don't need to look for him. He's not, he's fine. And then he sent a 25-second proof of life video
from a really fancy room. But
nice apartment or something. Yeah. Showing his nice apartment in Eastern Europe or something. Yeah. I don't know, Toodle. We were speculating it could have been a mail order. We don't know. Somehow he seems to be very comfortable in a very nice apartment.
Yeah,
And
if you guys don't know, this is the guy. I remember seeing this TikTok. This guy was on a TikTok. He's like riding a bike, and this girl stops him and interviews him, and he like alludes to doing something like this. And the comments are like, "Yo, like that's kind of crazy. Like, do it." And he did it. That was him. It came out a few weeks before this incident happened. It was crazy, and they spent I think it was like 30 grand looking for him. Lots of resources.
Oh, you looked. Oh, I didn't see that. Is that how much they spent?
Yeah.
Interest. Yeah. So that's a crime. He's stolen from the taxpayers. And imagine your wife and kids are like, please come home, daddy. Like, we love you. And he's like with a woman in the former USSR in like a nice condo. Like, stop looking for me. Bye. And this is the weird part. If you read this article, because we're like, how did he get back in Wisconsin? They like have him in custody. Or how did he get back in the US?
Yeah, why? I don't know.
Why would you come back? Like, they could not spend taxpayer dollars to go get him. But the only thing it says in the article, we don't know. We don't know the answer of how this guy is back here. But the only thing it alludes to is like the sheriff or whatever being interviewed is like, I kept trying to pull at his heartstrings, and I kept trying to say to him, like, hey man, you have kids and it's almost Christmas, and like people are really, this doesn't look good for you. Like, you should come back here and like be with your kids.
Either that or his internet mommy was a catfish, or hopefully something like that. I would love that for him.
I hope the taxpayers didn't pay for his flight back. That's what I'm saying. I hope we didn't pay to like extradite him back here. That's wild. I know. Can you imagine? And now his kids will see all of this, that like he should have just stayed gone. That's what I said when he sent that video. It would have been better if they thought you like unalived in the lake than, oh, hi, I'm just stop looking for me. This is America. We clearly all need therapy. This is the argument for mental health care. Clearly, we are all not well here today. Wait, I think there's one. Is there one more article? No, maybe that's. Oh, yeah, I think that's it. And now we can start. Sorry, that was just stuff that came up this morning that I didn't previously notice. And I was like, we have to talk about this stuff. I cannot believe that guy is back in the United States. I cannot wait to find out where that man has been. And I mean, there's not going to be a trial, but I wish there would be. Or just we get to like watch his wife yell at him. I mean, hopefully they're getting a divorce. I think this is super interesting. So this is from Pew Research. You know, I love data. This is going to kill you guys. So percentage of voters who say U.S. elections are well run and administered. That's what we're looking at. This is Pew Research. This is good stuff. In 2020, 20% of Republicans or 21% of Republicans said elections were well run and well administered. 94% of Democrats said they were. Total 59%. In 2024, 93% of Republicans say elections were well run and well administered. 84% of Democrats, for a total of 88%. How do you account that huge shift, Pickles?
Maybe because they won. Maybe because they won, and that's when it works.
That's all it is. As long as if Trump wins, elections are 93% well administered and fair to Republicans. If Trump loses, crisis on all levels. I will never forget these statistics. Like, they're not even pretending anymore.
I wonder if they'll ever investigate the fraud Trump claimed to have happened in like Pennsylvania halfway through election night. Of course they won't, because it didn't happen.
Oh, I know.
Because he won.
And wait, So on it was Monday, that Kristen Welker interview. That was one of the smartest things she's ever said. Remember, I was playing the Trump interview from Kristen Welker on Monday, and she says like, "Hey, wouldn't it make more sense because the Democrats have the White House now. Like, why wouldn't they steal it now? If you're so sure they were able to do it in 2020 when they weren't even in power and had no control over federal elections, why wouldn't they do it now? 93% are like, all
too big to
systems
rig.
go.
We had fewer people vote.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that there's no way it's too big to rig.
Yeah, we looked it up, Dale, but that wasn't your. I like that the wheels are turning, Dale. I like that the wheels are turning.
That's what Trump's response was, that she's just parroting that.
I know. Oh, you're a good point. Never mind. That's just what Trump said. Never mind, Dale. I thought you had a good. I thought your wheels were turning for a second, but nope, you're just parroting. But again, more people voted in 2020. I looked it up than voted in 2024. So nope. Sorry, I thought Dale was thinking. I apologize. For a second, I was really like, Dale, are you thinking? Oh, and I wanted to just show you the comments that are underneath this, right? Because you just got to look at what Mag is saying. Actually, we won this time, and we still think the left cheated because they do. And then this is the guy who's posted it. You don't have to be stupidly. That's a choice you're making. You don't have to be a liar. That's a choice you're making. That's what said. You don't need to waste your life worshiping false idols. That's against your religion. If you saw these comments, it's a war in the comments of this. Here's another little exchange. It said, do you remember the shenanigans that happened on election night and the next days in 2020? Or are you just being disingenuous? There were no shenanigans on. He's like, I don't know if he's purposely spelling wrong. I think he means election night or the days that followed. And then the guy goes, that answers my question. And then this person who's more right says, that's fair. There definitely was shenanigans. For example, trying to stop the count before all the ballots were counted. Fraudulent elector scheme. Actors that pushed the big lie like Rudy G, Sidney Powell, Hall, Ellis, Cheesebro, Peters, Operation Pence. I mean, these comments I would suggest for a good time do read. It's a battle. Oopsies. Let me pause this really quick. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, do you guys remember? So again, we were talking about or the Kristen Welker interview with Trump, and Trump said he wanted to put not the J6ers who, committed crimes. And I was looking it up. 600 of the convictions involve violence, or cases involve violence. But he said he wanted to put the J6 committee in jail, or deserve to be in jail. I believe was his exact words, that they should be prosecuted. Well, here we go. Here comes his mouthpiece to, say something different. Listen to this.
Liz Cheney is someone who lost her primary, who got bounced out by a very good Republican who's been bitter and attacking President Trump ever since. I think Liz Cheney, quite frankly, for what she did, I have my own personal opinions about Liz Cheney, but what President Trump said, and if you listen to the entire Meet the Press interview, is he wants everyone who he puts in key positions of leadership, again, whether that's Pam Bondi as the AG, Kash Patel at FBI, or anybody else, to apply the law equally to everybody. Now, that means if you're somebody who's committed some very serious crimes, who's committed very serious felonies, who's, for example, leaked confidential information in direct violation of laws that are in place, well, then obviously that sets you up for different things. But as far as the politics aspect, if you listen to the entire interview with President Trump, he said he's going to leave that up to the law enforcement agents in charge, including Pam Bondi and Kash Patel.
But the thing you mentioned, so far there's been no evidence of criminal.
Yeah, that's not really what he said, which I went and found it. So,
and Cheney was behind it, and so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what they did.
Everyone on the committee, you think?
I think anybody that voted in favor.
He's so mad.
Like, that is the weirdest thing about it, is his face, right? It's the look on his face for me. It's like he gets this, like, for what they did. That is the scariest part. It's the look on his. I mean, he's serious.
This is what he cares about. He doesn't care about helping Americans. Everyone says there's an echo coming from the video. I don't hear the echo. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. If there is, I have no idea why. I have three things connected to the audio mixer. I have headphones in. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't do anything about it if there is an echo. So, there's truly nothing I can do about it. Like, I don't know why it would be there or what I can do. So, do apologize, but I can't do anything about it. Okay, so again, this is just Tim Burchett. That's who's on the bottom there, representative from the House, representative like on the bottom in the House, talking about, because again, one of the people, that's Benny Thompson, one of the people that Trump is constantly talking about putting in jail. And one of the lies, which has already been disproven, is that they destroyed records, right? That's what they say. So again, here, I'm going to try to turn off my, let me try something.
Now, if it turns out they destroyed select committee evidence, do you agree that Thompson and Cheney were just doing their job, or did they break the law and deserve to be held accountable?
Well, as you know, historically, just doing your job and just in recent history has sent people to meet their maker. But I will say, just playing the devil's advocate, it was an illegitimate committee. It wasn't. They had no jurisdiction whatsoever, and they actually imprisoned Steve Bannon, if you remember, for failing to show up. So, you know, this thing is bogus. If they destroyed evidence, if they hid evidence, if they mistreated evidence, then yes, they have violated the law. President Trump is correct, and they should go to jail. If that.
So again, they did have jurisdiction. Do we understand how Congress works? Oversight and accountability? Like, do we understand the function of the House? They absolutely had jurisdiction.
Yeah, they're just throwing around accusations. Like, who says we mishandled or they mishandled anything? Like, this is all BS. They justify everything he says. It's so insane. You have to add context to make what he says not insane.
And just to be clear where this lie comes from, in case anyone doesn't know, just as someone that's read every document in the Trump trials, this comes from the federal case. It was a delay tactic in the Tanya Chutkan trial, right? They were trying to slow the trial down, which they did really well. Kudos to Trump's lawyers. Like, it worked. And what they were trying to do was they filed a filing saying that, you know, the J6 committee, or they suspected, they had no proof. And Chutkan's like, this is complete BS. Like, prove it. Say, you know what I mean? They just said, we have no proof, but we heard that the J6 committee destroyed files. So someone needs to find them. And Tanya Chutkan's like, what files? And they're like, oh, we don't know what files. You know what I mean? It's like, you have to disprove a negative claim. It makes no sense. Like, she's like, unless you have some sort of proof or know what you're talking about. And they're like, they just need to go look for these files that we're claiming exist. And she's like, can you prove that files exist and that someone disposed of files? And they're like, no, but we think people should spend months looking for files. That's what it was. That's what this was. It was a delay tactic in the Tanya Chutkan trial. And then, of course, like, the MAGA conspiracy theorists ran with it, but it got disproved, right? They went through it. And actually, Merrick Garland, which I'll say, it's so funny to me that the right hates Merrick Garland, because he actually was very helpful to them in delay tactics in different ways. Like, he would give like these huge data dumps that Jack Smith would have to sort through. He did it in the Stormy Daniels trial. He did it in several trials. Like, he would wait till the very end. Yeah, the Stormy Daniels trial. He did that right before the sentencing in that trial. He did it in this trial. Like, Merrick Garland is a Republican, and he did help. I mean, as far as delays, Merrick Garland did help Trump. Oh, and so anyways, in Congress yesterday, they decided to answer, the calls for them to be arrested. Chuck Schumer and Adam Schiff, because Adam Schiff's now in the Senate. Adam Schiff was in the House, and he was one of the lawyers, I believe, in the I actually don't remember which impeachment trial, but he was an impeachment lawyer or impeachment manager in one of the trials.
Over the weekend, Donald Trump said in an interview that members of the January 6th Select Committee, like Senator Schiff, should go to jail. Your reaction to that, and should President Biden consider preemptive pardons for anyone Trump may go after?
Look, the bottom line is we all know that Senator Schiff did a very, very good job on the hearings. He broke no laws whatsoever, and the truth stands for itself. Yes.
I don't think the incoming president should be threatening his political opponents with jail time. That's not the kind of talk we should hear from a president in a democracy. Nor do I think that a pardon is necessary for members of the January 6th committee. We're proud of the work we did on that committee. It was a fundamental oversight obligation to investigate the first attempt to interfere with the peaceful transfer of power in our history. Many of you were here in this building during that violent attack. And we're proud of the work we did to expose what went into that once-in-history effort to interfere with the transition of power.
You did a great job, and that will stand for itself. Thank you.
So what do you think? What is your opinion on the pardons? I'm referencing Dale in the comments was saying, watch him give him a pardon. What do you think?
I think he should. I think he should give them pardons. Like, we have nothing to lose. We know that Trump is going to spend millions of dollars, like, playing, political warfare and, messing with people's lives. Like, they didn't stop with Hunter Biden. And now that they don't have Hunter Biden, they don't have the whole thing. I hate to say the fascist or the F word, but, like, the whole thing with fascism is you have to have, like, a common enemy. And this is one of the things they do, is they persecute people and try to cover up their own corruption with other people.
By the way, W Rented, thank you so much for subscribing, guys. Thank you so much for the subscriptions. I appreciate it. You can subscribe to Pickles as well. If you click on his name and go to his profile, you can also subscribe to Pickles. We debate together at night. It's great live. I highly suggest it. It's one of my favorite places to hang out other than here. Also, this is my Cash App and Venmo. If you would like a message read aloud or want to support us in any way, please do. That is Pickles down below. Also, I love pretty GIFs and colors on the screen. If you need a link to the Discord, all of the links to these outlines, everything I play on these lives are in the live sources section in the Discord, so you can use them as well if you would like. So this is my business TikTok account. It's at Feliz Navidad Live, my childhood nickname. Just message that account and say you'd like a link to the Discord, or if you say in the chat and there's enough mods around and say I need a link, they might be able to get you one if there are enough mods in here. I just want to play one more clip of Adam Schiff talking about this, about the potential, retribution from Trump, because he did talk about this. Trump
I want to say,
oh, go ahead.
Before you start that, I want to say thank you so much to Jason for the $50 Cash App. Holy Toledo.
Oh, I got one too. Jason, thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's like the equivalent. I mean, my day is like, you've made my day, literally. Yeah. Thank you so much. Like, you just don't know. That is such a huge deal to us. Thank you. Jason, you are absolutely amazing. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you for noticing, Pickle. Sorry, I have a lot going on. I have a lot of devices going at once. So yeah, this is Adam Schiff. So after he was speaking with Chuck Schumer on Capitol Hill, then he went on, I think, Morning Joe or one of the shows. Yeah, I think Morning Joe.
All of us that worked on the January 6th committee are proud of the work that we did. We exposed one of the darkest chapters of our history when a president incited a violent attack on the Capitol to try to stop the peaceful transfer of power. The vast majority of our witnesses were Republicans. Some of them were high-ranking Republicans in the Trump administration who testified under oath and in public hearings so that the country could hear and see and learn about what took place on that awful day, a really important form of congressional accountability. So we're proud of what we did. But I do think to underscore the point you were all just making, this is not just about retribution against those of us on the committee. This is about sending a message that no one better hold him to account in his second term. No one better look at what he does, do their congressional job, that he is intent on trying to break down these checks and balances in our system. That's where the danger lies, more so than to the members of the committee. I think the American people are very concerned about crime. They want an FBI director and an attorney general to deal with fentanyl and deal in California with smash and grab robberies. This is not what they're looking for, to turn the agencies into some vehicle of political retribution. All of us that worked on the
Amen. I think that was well said. I think that's absolutely well said. That it is a deterrent, right? Like it's basically Trump saying, don't try it, right? Like, I'm going to make an example of these people. If you try it again, like I'm going to show you what will happen.
Yeah, I now I feel a little differently now thinking about that. I think Biden definitely should, for anybody investigating our elections or anything, any efforts to overturn it, we should definitely promote that. We shouldn't scare people out of doing that.
I muted myself and started talking. No, I agree with you. I actually think we need to probably change the law around pardons, right? Like, not necessarily because of what Joe Biden might do, but because of what Trump did, like the pay for pardons. I think we probably need it. I mean, it would have to be an honest, fair look. We'd need like an impact study done. We'd need probably actual policymakers who are unbiased to look at okay, obviously the pardon process that why the broad powers of pardons are being abused, and how can we reform it in a way that it's not just, hey, we can pay, if Trump feels like being paid for pardons, he can pardon hundreds of people. And I don't know what that looks like, but I think pardon reform in some way is necessary. And I just took screenshots. I'm not going to make you listen to CNN because what they were saying was stupid, but I did think their polling was interesting. So I think this is very telling. It's kind of the opposite, right? Trump also said in that Kristen Welker interview that he was going to pardon the J6ers. And this is, CNN, and they were stressing over and over, this is bipartisan. This is not, a Democratic poll. And they're saying, by and large, they were implying it's a lot of Republicans, that this is very unpopular, that if Donald Trump does, in fact, pardon the J6ers, people will be very, very displeased. And I'll never forget, you guys I never had watched, I'll admit it myself, I never watched the Libertarian conference before, we have the Democratic National Conference and the RNC conference, but the Libertarian conference, because Trump was going to speak there, I watched the entire thing from beginning to end. And I'll never forget their actual candidate, Chase Oliver, who's an amazing person. If you're a real libertarian, look into who Chase Oliver is. He's a very intelligent guy. And he made this point because actually he supports pardoning the J6ers. If you know anything about true libertarians, they hate the state. That's what they call the American government. They fight against the state. Libertarians don't believe government should exist. If you're a real, true libertarian, just like communists, that's why whatever you hear people in America being like, this is a communist government, that is an oxymoron. True libertarians and true communists don't recognize governments. They don't recognize borders of nations. They don't believe currencies should exist. And Chase Oliver said You know, he's like, I'm for pardons. He's like, I don't think any political prisoners should be in jail. But if Donald Trump was not just using the J6ers as a pawn and he actually thought that their cause was just and they were being unjustly jailed by by a puppet state that shouldn't exist, then he would have pardoned them right before he left on his first term, you know, with all the other pardons that he gave to people that could afford them. And he's right. If Donald Trump believed truly that these people should never have been punished, and MAGA, you know this, you have to be able to see this. If it was a just cause that he believed in, he would have pardoned them at the end of his first term. He could have done it then. They would have spent no time in jail. I thought this one was interesting too, because there were 3 polls they were doing on CNN. Word to describe J6 protests. And you had 2 choices, patriotism or insurrection. You can see how that one went.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I thought this was quite interesting. I mean, they're not close. And then this was the final one. Will Trump try to pardon J6 protesters? Before the election, most voters thought so. So again, people, and it's like, what? I thought this was super interesting. And what do you account for? Basically, 81% of people polled, right? They're saying we don't like the pardons. We think the J6ers that are in jail are insurrectionists, but we knew he was going to do it. And so I find that fascinating. Like, these people who don't approve of it, think that they all committed crimes and are insurrectionists, are also saying, yeah, but we knew he was going to do it. So what does that account for? I think it's just people are saying, I mean, you could look at it a lot of ways. Regardless of how corrupt Trump is, I won't vote for a woman. Or, hey, I have bigger issues on my mind. I just went through the pandemic, and I guess if he's going to do something I don't like pardon those people, I don't like it, but still it's not top of mind. It's just interesting to see the contradictions. I just want to, again, I'm going to point this out every time I see one of these. Every time I see one of these clips, I have promised myself I'm going to play it for you guys so we never forget that this is the reality of America. This is, again, a Republican saying we're going to cut Social Security and Medicare. Every day they have at least one, but usually it's way more people on Fox News trying to prepare Republicans for the fact that they're going to cut, yes, Mark Alford, they're going to cut Social Security and Medicare. It's every day. It's nonstop.
And so we've got to right the ship, and it's going to mean cuts. It's going to mean cuts to the 24% of the discretionary spending that we have. And it's also going to mean looking long-term at the front end of some programs like Social Security and Medicare, not taking anyone off of what they paid into so far. But there is some waste, abuse, and fraud in Medicare that we can take those numbers back and add to our general coffers and our Treasury. And on the front end of Social Security, I think there's a way, when people are living longer, they're retiring later, that on the front end we can move that retirement age back a little bit.
Let me get your
We can move that retirement age back a little bit. Sounds great. It's already 67. What should it be? 75? So what's Dale disingenuously said in 2032 they're going to cut Social Security. I think you're talking about it's going to be able to be funded at 75%. All we need to do, Dale, right, is take the cap off the Social Security taxes, right? There is 1% of people in this country that are earning all the profits, right? And there's a cap on the Social Security tax. If that same money was being distributed evenly among the middle and lower class, that money would be taxed. It would go into our Social Security fund and everything would be fine. But because it's all going to rich people and there's $63,000 cap, they're taxed on 160. Yeah, they're taxed on 163,000 right? Then they make 10 million a year. None of that revenue is taxed. That's all we need to do is get rid of the cap and everything will be fine. Oh, this is crazy. So, you guys, I don't know if you saw this, if you hang out on X or not, but, you know, Trump's postmaster general that Biden, and I don't like, Biden should not have left this guy in office, but they finally like subpoenaed him to show up in Congress yesterday. And also, it was a free for all. Republicans and Democrats were just screaming at Louis DeJoy and being like, in my state, like, there like 16% of packages were delivered on time. Like, it was insane. And watch, like, so I think it's McCormick, Representative McCormick was questioning him, and Louis DeJoy literally just covers his ears like a toddler and refuses to listen.
You were graded by the United States people, and they don't use your service anymore. You bankrupt.
That is not true.
You bankrupt this through your reputation only. Through your reputation, you are responsible for the fall of the Postal Service and the lack of accountability.
Congress is responsible for the fall of the Postal Service. I am trying to fix
on your watch
service.
With all the AI.
On my watch, the same stuff happened.
With all the AI, with all the computer systems, you're worse than if I took a horse and picked up the mail and delivered it 2 miles down the road. That's you. I hope you got that on camera. This is the response that the postmaster just gave Congress when he doesn't like what he hears. Literally covered his ears and gave himself the grade of A. And with that, sir, I grade.
Welcome to America. Louis DeJoy. And there's many clips of people like freaking out on Louis DeJoy and him doing different things like this. Like, he was in the Senate, I think, last week, and one of the younger senator from Georgia, John Ossoff, was just calling him out, like, you only delivered this many packages, like, you promised to do this, you haven't done this. And he's like, what grade would you give yourself? And he's like, A+ or something. This guy takes responsibility for absolutely nothing. Oh man, this has turned into such a nightmare.
Governor, oh my God.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada. I look forward to seeing the governor again so that we may continue our in-depth talks on tariffs and trade, the results of which will be truly spectacular for all. Like,
why?
This is our neighbor to the north that we're in a huge trade block with, and Trump is emasculating. But didn't I say this is why you don't go to Mar-a-Lago? Have you heard Trump say a word about Claudia Sheinbaum after she humiliated him and was like, hey, you're going to ruin our lives, we're going to ruin yours? Surprise. And point by point, just posted a tweet and was like, this man has no idea what he's talking about and is wrong about everything. Thank you. We've already fixed all the problems that you're trying to address. And the problem with the illicit F substance is yours. And now he's going to pretend that he's annexed Canada for the next forever.
Yeah, I'm sure he's loving the attention that he's getting, that, you know, or that he would get if that would ever happen. I'm sure he sees himself as this big man who's going to be able to do that.
Oh, wait till you hear what they're saying on Fox. They love this on Fox. You guys can't even imagine like how much worse what we're going through today is going to get. Like, Fox News is in rare form. I think I told you guys Rupert Murdoch lost his battle he's been fighting in Nevada courts because he has a couple kids that are set to inherit part of Fox News Corp that are liberals, and they don't appreciate that the direction Fox News is going. And so he said to protect the shareholders' value and to protect the brand so it's not devalued or diluted, that it should all go to Lachlan Murdoch, his mini-me that shares his, vision of pathological lies that promote conservative politics. Well, a judge disagreed. So I literally think Rupert Murdoch is having a giant fit, because I think the last couple days on Fox have gotten even weirder. It's just been out of control. Oh, we're getting to Gates. Don't you worry, Toodle. We'll get there. That's one of the best parts of the last couple days.
I'm going to make a prediction here before that show, and I thought of this afternoon. I actually think that the United States might make some sort of purchase in the not Canada, but there might be some sort of like
Greenland
big real estate purchase in the next 4 years.
We do have a real estate president.
If you don't know what they're talking about when they're talking about Greenland, does anyone remember when Trump wanted to, I don't even know if the word is buy Greenland. And if you don't know, Greenland was stolen. There are indigenous people that lived in Greenland and still do. And it was, colonized by Denmark. Greenland is part of Denmark, but Trump went through this period where he's like, oh, there's a lot of oil there. We can trade them for Puerto Rico.
Oh my God.
And now they're on Fox like, oh, I think a big real estate purchase is coming up with can you imagine if you're in Canada? And I get it. I just want to say Justin Trudeau did not want to go to Mar-a-Lago. You have to understand what is going on in Canadian politics. He was pressured by the conservatives that are set to take over the government by what's his name, Pierre Poilievre or whatever, and other conservatives like in the Midwest, the middle provinces, to go and talk to Trump. So it's not like Justin wanted to do that, but this is why you do not give Trump any sort of visual leverage, because this is what he does. Even though Justin Trudeau was quoted, thank you for the hat, as saying that, I went there to explain to him how tariffs work and we have a plan to deal with Donald Trump. This won't be a problem. That's not the narrative that's going to be portrayed in America and around the world. And that's why Claudia Scheinbaum put on a clinic. She was like, oh, I wrote this letter 2 years ago to explain to you why you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not even going to stand up. I'm just going to post it on the internet and leave it there for you.
Jessica's a hard-hitting question. Trump's way of posturing is, I'm going to hit you with tariffs. I guess Trudeau's way is to wear silly socks and just be a real nice guy. How's it working out?
I mean, not that well. He's really unpopular, and I think that Trump is seizing upon that, wants to infantilize him. He was it Macron that he did the weird handshake with in France? I mean, he's fire hydranting all over the world, and I don't think it's a cute look. Also, tariffs are really bad. Consumers will pay the price.
We'll see.
Poor Jessica for having to, poor Jessica for having to do this, constantly. That's all we could say is bless Jessica's heart for having to be there.
Oh, she's such a trooper. I love how she snuck that in.
Bless Jessica's heart for having to be there. But it's so true. That is what he's doing, because that's the thing about tariffs. Trump can't back out now. He talked a huge game about tariffs. Right? I mean, that's what this has come down to. Trump cannot back out of tariffs now. So he's got to act like and I said this the other day, the sanest people that are part of MAGA now are the ones who are just like, oh, he's just making threats. Yeah, because if he actually puts tariffs in place, he's going to crash our economy. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's trying to make it look like he's winning battles that he's not winning, so that when and if he doesn't do it, he could just be like, oh, see, we already won. I don't need to do it. I don't know what he's doing. But either way, the American consumers are in a lose-lose situation. Oh, you're going to love this. This is the late night tweets just keep getting the late night truths keep getting weirder and weirder. Any person or company, I just can't even. Oh my God. If you understand capitalism, this is oligarchy. This is oligarchical capitalism. Any person or company investing $1 billion or more in the United States of America will receive fully expedited approvals and permits, including, but in no way limited to, environmental approvals. Get ready to rock. The broligarchy. Exactly, Tudo. The broligarchy is alive and well. Guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 150K. We can do it. Please share the live. If you don't have anyone to share it with, please push the copy link button. I'm really working on improving my engagement. So tapping is clapping. If you could just tap the screen as much as possible throughout the live, it would be so appreciated. So I was thinking, like, how can I explain this? Well, if you understand how the free market works, this is the end of the free market. This is what happens in Russia. There are billionaires, Putin's tight circle of billionaires. If you have $1 billion, you can buy your way into favor and overcome any regulations. Basically, he's saying, this is what he said to the oil and gas industry pre-election. Remember, there was a Washington Post exclusive article. There was a congressional investigation into it. Donald Trump went to the oil and gas industry, got them together and said, hey, pool your money, get a cool $1 billion, and I'll deregulate whatever you want. I'll make your dreams come true. Pay to play. And they, Sheldon Whitehouse and I believe Jamie Raskin sent a letter and wanted to investigate it, because that's crazy. Because think about it. This is for any Republicans who are listening. I want to explain to you how this affects you. If you can't enter the market now with $1 billion, you can't play, right? I mean, this is the barrier to entry now. You have to have capital. That's the problem with capitalism. So smaller companies who might want a chance in the market but can't afford to overcome these barriers no longer have the same opportunities in the alleged free market. There's no free market in the US, but this is what late stage capitalism is. The favors, entry into the free market, the alleged free market, into the crony capitalistic market only come, right, with levies of money, with bribes. And actually, I just remembered. I forgot because I found it right before the show. I believe he's the senator from Connecticut, Chris Murphy. Right before the show, I found a video he made about this, and it was really good. Hold on, let me find it because he says it perfectly. I'll let Chris Murphy tell you.
Posted on social media a new deal he's offering his billionaire friends. He says if a billionaire invests in the United States, they're going to be able to short circuit all of our regulations, that he's going to give them a special deal where the permitting is expedited. What he's also saying is that if you're not a billionaire, you're not getting that deal. If you're a small manufacturer and you want to expand on your factory and hire more workers, you're still stuck with the existing system. If you are a local developer and you want to build some more houses to try to make housing more affordable for your neighbors, you're stuck with the existing system. I actually agree that we can do a lot to get rid of burdensome regulations, to make it easier for businesses to be able to invest in the United States, but that should apply to everybody. Donald Trump tells you over and over again what he is going to do in the White House. He is going to give special deals to his billionaire friends, and everybody else gets screwed.
I mean, I think he says it perfectly. That's what it is. There's no other way to say it. That's what it is. And imagine, because this is because like I said, again, Pickles debates most nights at 6 p.m. Central. Check it out. I join him a lot of time. And I hear all the time, this is probably my year anniversary of doing debates on TikTok, like a lot. And what Pre-election, what I always heard was, we're deregulating because small business owners can't afford the regulations. Small business owners have all of these expensive regulations, so they can't afford to pay. So that's why there's not a lot of small businesses. Donald Trump, you are now looking at the guy that you said was deregulating for small and medium-sized businesses, who is telling you, no, that's a lie. I am deregulating for people that can pay me a cool billion. Everything you said, MAGA, what you believed was going on. Oh, that's Donald Trump said we're deregulating so small and medium-sized businesses can enter the market and don't need those pesky regulations. It's a lie. You got. I don't know how else to say it. He would say the opposite. He would say, hey, large corporations that have a certain amount of profit, this isn't for you. Let me make it easier to avoid regulations for small and medium-sized businesses. That's what he should be doing. That is something I approve of, right? I think that when businesses are small and they're growing, that's when you can't afford to handle the red tape of regulation. I don't think those businesses should be allowed to pollute and things, but if there's a way to help them subsidize the costs of those regulatory permits, that would be a great thing to subsidize, to get more people, right? To get more small and medium-sized businesses. Donald Trump is saying the opposite. He's saying, if you can give me $1 billion, if you can pay to play, then you can play. If not, oh well. What do you think, Pickles? Are you talking? Oh, I can't hear you. I don't know. I can't hear you. Sorry, I didn't realize you. I was like, what is happening? I can't hear you. Can you guys hear Pickles? Can you guys hear? Okay, you can. Okay, I'm just making sure it's not just me. Yeah, it's not me. I'm not crazy. Thank you. I'm not crazy. I think Pickles is leaving and coming back. That'll work. Well, there he is. There he is.
Okay,
there you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely. Much better.
I was saying, this will, if you look at the economy at a glance, after this kind of stuff happens, if billionaires from outside the country come and invest billions here, it will add some jobs. It will make our GDP grow, but it will, for the most part, be the 1% growing. It won't be middle class. It won't be lower class.
That's what Donald Trump is trying to do. He's consolidating wealth with the donor class, which will only hurt us. That's why I keep saying, whether MAGA likes it or not, we are all in the same life raft together. Donald Trump is doing the opposite of what you all were telling me for a couple years since 2022, since the midterms. I was doing debates with MAGA and you all said religiously, oh, don't worry. The deregulation is for small and medium-sized businesses. That's who it's for. It's to make, when businesses start out, they can't afford all these regulations, and he's going to make it easier for small and medium-sized businesses to enter the market. But unfortunately, he's saying the opposite. He's literally saying, hey, for anybody who can pay us a cool billion, who can pay to play, no regulations. The rest of you, too bad. He is hurting the middle class here. There's no other way to interpret this. And so, and now we're going to move on to some funny stuff. And then we're going to get to Luigi, because I know that's what most of this live is going to be about. But now we're going to get into, I knew it, the longest engagement in MAGA history is over. Do you know about this? The first time Don Jr. was caught with this woman, I was pre-election and Trump was so mad and they were caught in Palm Beach holding hands. This is a very rich socialite. Her name's Bettina Anderson. Do you guys know how crazy this is? What is going on? Guilfoyle, Kimberly Guilfoyle, formerly, and this is the saddest part, is that Gavin Newsom was married to her. Well, Guilfoyle is out. They were engaged. It was like, I'm not exaggerating. I truly believe this is not me making a sarcastic joke. I'm pretty sure they were engaged for like 7 or 8 years.
Oof.
I'm correct. Comments, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Guilfoyle and Dodd Jr. were engaged for 7 or 8 years, and she was always like, and everyone would ask her constantly, like, "When's the marriage coming? When's the marriage coming?" Oh, puzzle piece.
And that's awkward.
It's
awkward because Trump picks Kimberly Guilfoyle as ambassador to Greece.
But it's not awkward. That is why she got shipped away. This is why. You don't understand what's going on. So just to be clear, if no one is stalking, like I said, the only podcast I pay for on earth, left or right, is Dodd Jr.'s podcast, because I like to watch him fall asleep while talking or be unbelievably alert. So I follow Dodd Jr. Dodd Jr. reminds me a lot of myself, not in the gross ways, but because I was raised by a malignant narcissist. And in my 20s, I had an issue with addiction. I drank too much. Because I had to self-medicate because I was raised by someone who, was not treating me very well. And I had never had therapy, and I didn't understand why I couldn't be in reality. So part of me has a lot of empathy. Like 6 years of therapy later, doing much better and understanding, that I had PTSD and needed a lot of help. I recognize a lot of myself in Don Jr., like the broken pieces, the way he sticks around and is just like, if I just keep doing what my dad wants, like that love is coming. It's not coming, Don. I promise you. I promise you that day is not coming. The hug is not coming. But you keep trying. But anyway, so let's see, around April, I want to say it was the first time these two were caught together. But that was pre-election, right? No, Don Jr. doesn't get money from his dad. I know a lot about Don Jr.'s financials. Don Jr. is a real influencer, not like me, an influencer that makes like $200 a week. I mean, like a real influencer. I know because I saw like for America Fest, which is actually at the end of this month. We should go to America Fest. It's in Phoenix. And his speaking fee is around $60,000 per. He hawks like little Trump Christmas ornaments. Don Jr. is a hustler. Don Jr., he has a podcast. He has a deal with Rumble that's pretty lucrative. Like, Don Jr. is earning income. He is not like... they're all kept on a string. Do you know what I mean? They don't have access. They're hoping, I think, they inherit money, but they don't have it yet. Don Jr. is a literal paid influencer.
I love that. It gives a different look to him falling asleep on camera too. He's probably just fulfilling his deliverables to Rumble.
For sure. He's got to show up for the podcast or he doesn't get paid. No, for sure. And like, I'm not suggesting we have sympathy for Don Jr. because he's definitely complicit and is doing things that are hurting people. I'm just saying, as one person raised by a narcissist to another person raised by a narcissist, I see you. And the hug is never coming, Don. Give it up. But anyways, think about all the things like, whose book was it? Oh my gosh. Oh, Cassidy Hutchinson. Remember Cassidy Hutchinson? She was like the main January 6th committee whistleblower. And in her book, she talks about like Kimberly Guilfoyle and Don Jr. And she's telling the story of January 6th. And Kimberly Guilfoyle is there for all of it. So you ask, why does Trump have to give her an ambassadorship to make up for this humiliation? Because that she knows 7 years of being around, 7-8 years of being around that family, right? Like they can't run afoul of Kimberly Guilfoyle. She knows, she's seen too much. So now Kimberly Guilfoyle, Trump is pleased to announce, I'm sorry. I just find this so funny.
My God.
She's now the ambassador to Greece, so she feels less embarrassed Today,
All
I am
paid
pleased to
expenses.
announce the appointment of Kimberly Gargoyle as the United States ambassador to Greece. All you have to do is lurk around that family for 7 years. I guess someone said this is unbelievable. Oh, we're past unbelievable. Just laugh so you don't cry. There's studies when you actually just use your facial muscles and smile, it can help us live longer. Just you got to force yourself to be okay at this point. We are mailing Don Jr.'s ex to Greece to make up for the fact that she knows too much and Don Jr. is going around Palm Beach shaming her with a socialite. This is how you get jobs in Trump's administration. And that's who doesn't? Now she gets to hang out with hot Greek men. Trump's like, just go to Greece, hang out with hot Greek guys, and be less angry there. Oh, Noodle, you've missed so much. Did you just get here? Kimberly Gargoyle is the ambassador to Greece now because Don Jr. Is cheating on her, and now she's being mailed to Greece. That's where we're at now in today's episode of How the F Did We Get Here? This is what's going on now. Oh, she definitely dodged a bullet. But in honor of Kimberly now being mailed to Greece, so we won't get to have some of these amazing moments with her, Kimberly is perfectly suited to foster strong bilateral relations with Greece. Is she? But I just wanted to show you guys some oldie but goodie Kim Gargoyle clips.
He loves the pizza. Guys, like he loves McDonald's, okay? He loves the Pizza Hut, the whole thing. Actually, really does eat McDonald's. He loves McDonald's. He loves Pizza Hut. So at McDonald's, his go-tos, he'll get a bunch of things, and then he likes everyone to try them all. He likes the fish sandwich, the chicken sandwich. He likes the Big Mac. So what can I tell you? He loves it all. The quarter pounder. So we have all that array, and then of course the fries. But you know, when we travel on the road wherever we go, we actually then have the McDonald's and we're all eating on the plane. It's hysterical. So it's him, it's the whole team, some of the biggest donors, and it's fun. But
oh my
So
God.
did they eat McDonald's? I didn't catch it. She's like, we have the McDonald's, then sometimes we have the pizza, then we have the McDonald's, and then sometimes we have the pizza and McDonald's.
And Don Jr. With her too. Oh my gosh.
Nobody knows why this is happening. Literally nobody. Wait, this is even better.
We fought for 4 years to make America great. It was a time of prosperity, of hope, and a lot of winning. You guys aren't tired of winning, right? Me either, I love it. When I wake up in the morning, I say, Junior, let's win some more, baby, right? We love it. We fought for
It's Junior,
that's
let's
cringe.
win some more, baby.
What is there like 3 people there?
No, oh yeah, this is America Fest. This is what I'm saying we should go to. This is every year. This is, I think 2023. The first year of it was 2022. You know, Charlie Kirk is in Phoenix. He runs Turning Point USA, where I live. They do this every year. And there was nobody there while she was giving a speech. Like nobody, it was just like, there was like 3 people in there. But yeah, I think it's like December 21st or 22nd. This will be in Phoenix again. They do this every single year.
Send me to Phoenix, chat. Send me to Phoenix.
I know. We should go. I'm serious. We could go. I mean, I don't know. Like that could be a good thing, or it could be an absolute nightmare. Like just saying, who knows? Yeah, well, that's why she's moving to Greece. Dawn has not been with her. That's exactly. And I just wanted to show you because somebody is reporting on this again. So it appears the extremely long engagement has come to an end between Lovebirds Don Jr. and Kim Guilfoyle, despite no announcement by either, as Jr. was photographed again during a night out on the town, holding hands with Palm Beach socialite Bettina Anderson. Kim waited a long time to tie the knot with Junior, but sadly, it appears the dream is over. To keep Kim quiet from spilling all the tea, and boy, does she have tea to spill, Trump is appointing Guilfoyle as ambassador to Greece. Nothing like 4 years in Athens with Greek men to help you forget about Junior and all the secrets you know about for a while. Ambassadorships are basically now how Trump does NDAs.
My God.
It is. If you know too much, surprise, like you're being mailed to another country for a while. Like, this is what they are. They're like they're NDAs. How he doesn't even need Michael Cohen anymore as a middleman. It's so funny right now to watch right-wing media try to pretend that Trump shipping Kim off to Greece all of a sudden has absolutely nothing to do with Junior getting photographed out on the town with another woman this weekend.
Oh my God. This could be a reality TV show.
What is going on? Guys,
Wow.
I'm sorry there's an echo when I play these. I don't know why. There's a lot of glitches with TikTok Studio, so I'll just uninstall it and reinstall it like after this live. But we just kind of have to deal with it for now. Now, speaking of, I know Tootle mentioned Matt Gaetz and his humiliation. So this picture, I think, says it all. Like, soon... Kimberly, that's Kimberly. This is Gaetz, right? Now, what's going on with Matt Gaetz and his latest shame? Oh, it's too good. Sometimes.
How recent is this?
This was on someone's Instagram, like on Guilfoyle's Instagram. I don't know when it was taken, though.
Oh my God.
But actually, based on the amount of Botox in Matt's face, not recently. I mean, fillers, because you can actually see the lines. You can't see
his
the lines.
eyebrows are a little lower.
Yeah,
than
like
usual.
that's what I'm saying. No, I'm actually being dead serious. That like normally his eyebrows are like this.
Oh,
so I don't know when this photo was taken. I just thought I found it and I thought it was funny. But here we go. So wait, so the big announcement Gaetz was hyping. So just in case you don't know, you might not know that Gaetz is married. That happened kind of recently when he was involved in a bunch of scandals. He's married to a woman that no one ever sees and no one ever hears from. Well, she started hyping up on the internet that Gaetz had some big surprise, and it's not even Newsmax. Like, I don't know if you guys understand how like low on the totem pole OAN is, but like Newsmax actually has reasonably good cable news numbers. I mean, not great, but like OAN is not carried by cable news. Like you can at least watch Newsmax on cable. And they didn't even hire him. Matt Gaetz is going to disappear. Like, just as someone who follows a lot of right-wing media, people, when they started saying that Matt Gaetz had a surprise, there was speculation. I'll give you some examples of what people like on True Social were saying. People were saying like, oh, I think he's going to be Joe Rogan's co-host. Or like, I think
my God.
That's what people, I'm just telling, this is what people thought. Or like, he's going to have his own show on Fox or things like that. So he went from nominated for Attorney General to a show on OAN. It's not great.
I could not be more excited to join the One America News family. The best reporting, the best analysis, and the most in-depth coverage of the Trump administration is going to come from our team. I've got the sources, I've got the insights, and there is such a spirit of optimism to unlock the opportunity of America. There's no place that's going to cover it better than One America News.
He's got a full network of underage girls giving him like ground news.
Allegedly. I mean, they did testify. The alleged underage girls that were trafficked did testify before the ethics committee. I mean, that did happen. We don't know what they said, but it did happen. No, but I'm just saying, do you believe him there? Do you believe he's excited? I've never seen him try to sell something harder. He's like, I'm so excited. It's like, I don't believe you, Matt.
Yeah, it seems a little.
I bet his dad, if you guys don't know, Matt Gaetz' daddy is a really rich, really powerful guy in Florida. I think daddy is very disappointed in Matt's fall from grace. Like, I don't think this is going well for him. Oh, and I
can't believe a news channel is willing to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Honestly, it's kind of wild.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, think about it. Not even like Margarine's boyfriend is an executive at Real America's Voice. He moved up, like, because like I would say the lowest is OAN. Like, they don't have cable news viewership. They were dropped because of all the, like, they wouldn't stop. There's like, there's too many legal questions. They're telling too many lies. Above that I would say would be like, it's called RSBN, Right Side Broadcasting Network. That's where Margarine's boyfriend worked, and Brian Glenn, and even he got a promotion. Brian Glenn moved on up to Real America's Voice. Like, like, I'm just giving you the tiers of how far Matt Gaetz has truly fallen. Like, we are at the bar is in hell now for Matt Gaetz. And he's like, I'm so excited. Like, if I was Matt Gaetz, quite honestly, as someone that used to work in advertising, I would just do my own Rumble podcast. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I would just go independent. I don't think this was the best
This is
move
a
for
step
him.
below that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just go independent. I bet he could have made a ton of money on, like, he should have bet on himself, in my opinion, and not hitched his wagon to like OAN. But that's just my personal opinion as someone that worked in advertising. Oh yeah, I forgot to say what this was. So Vernon Jones was basically like, Matt Gaetz announces next career move. Democrats are panicking. We are not panicking. You've relegated him to a network where no one will ever hear him speak again. We are not. And Ron Philip Kelsey's like, Democrats are laughing. AG to OAN. It's like, I'm not even laughing. It's not even funny. I'm kind of like, wow. Honestly, I thought Matt Gaetz would have a softer landing.
Maybe he'll do this for a while, because it is kind of shameful going out on your own, like having to walk away from everything. Maybe the fact that somebody's co-signing his bullshit for a little bit will help him go out on his own eventually. I don't know. Or like, maybe he would try to run again. He can't go back into that house, so that if he goes back into that government, that ethics report is going to rear its ugly head again. And it's obviously enough that he had to leave. Like, he cannot risk it coming out. Which, by the way, I'm going to do research on this. I didn't have time, but right before this show started, because I'm always reading things, I was reading like on True Social that people are saying that there's leaks coming out of the ethics committee, and they're accusing Susan Wild, who was unseated. Like, Susan Wild is a Democrat from Pennsylvania. She's on the House Ethics Committee. I think she's the ranking member, and I believe she lost her bid for re-election. So she's going to be leaving, and people are implying, again, I don't know, but people are implying that leaks are coming out of the ethics committee. But I think if it was huge, we would know. But I will look into it and report back tomorrow. I'm with you, Yo Papa Peach. That's exactly what I'm saying. I love Susan Wild. Susan Wild is amazing. I once watched a local debate she did, and I am a fan for life. Oh, I can't wait to tell you about the next ambassador. As we said, ambassadorships are NDAs. Trump gives people ambassadorships and mails them places. So did you guys hear a couple days ago, it was being rumored and reported by all types of outlets. This is from the New York Post, but all outlets were reporting that Kari Lake was going to be the ambassador to Mexico.
Guess what? Donald Trump snaked her again.
Oh.
Literally no mention of her at all. Just posts yesterday. It is like, congratulations, someone named Ron Johnson, who used to be like an ambassador to El Salvador or something. Like, you've got the job. Carrie Lake was like thinking that she was going to be someone for a second. And Trump's like, remember when I invested so much in you and you could not be the governor of Arizona nor the senator? And you're the reason there's 2 Democratic senators and a Democratic governor in Arizona.
I need a winner. You're a loser.
Yeah, but I mean, 2 days ago, every news outlet was reporting that Trump was going to choose Carrie Lake as not that Ron Johnson. I checked. No, we could only be so lucky if Senator Ron Johnson was who actually I've heard lives most of the time in Florida and is pretending that he lives in Wisconsin. If he was being mailed to Mexico, we could only be so lucky. Not that one. But yeah, Carrie thought for a couple days she was about to be the ambassador of Mexico, and it just didn't happen. I won't read all this, but this is how you know it's not the real Ron Johnson. Like, he starts talking about like where he worked tirelessly. Ron served as the ambassador to El Salvador. Last time I checked, Ron Johnson, like Senator Ron Johnson, was never an ambassador in El Salvador. But yeah, sorry, Carrie. All of this all the lies. Wait, what do you want me to
Doesn't it say on the Google sheet? It said Ron J. Hansen, and he said Ron Johnson.
Oh, you're saying this is the wrong name?
Yeah,
I didn't know. Name. Oh, let's go back to the. Hold on.
Ron J. Hansen.
No, that's the guy who wrote the article.
Oh. Hello.
But that would be hilarious if he got Trump gets names wrong all the time. Trump gets names wrong constantly, so it's not like that wouldn't faze him at all. He also served our country. This man was in the CIA for over 20 years. So if you understand the history of the CIA, then he's ambassador to Central America, to El Salvador, where the CIA has done unspeakable things. This is a very Republican appointment. You know what I mean? This is like saying, hey, you know all those coups in Central America? Someone who probably has intimate knowledge of them and is responsible for them. We're plopping him down in Mexico to keep an eye on you, Claudia. I think Claudia Sheinbaum's going to be just fine. But I'm sorry, Carrie Lake getting passed over is always a good thing to me, guys. Okay, now we're at Luigi. We're going to talk about Luigi now. This is the criminal complaint for Luigi, right? I'll just go through this. It says the defendant is charged with unaliving in the 2nd degree, which I thought was really interesting. And I don't know if anyone in the comments has any thoughts about that, but like what I understand to be 2nd degree would be, crimes of passion, non-premeditated, right? So I was expecting 1st.
That is strange.
So no, I mean it means that he won't be unalive. He probably won't get. Oh wait, New York doesn't have the unaliving penalty, right? I don't
probably
think they
not.
do. Yeah, that's. I just thought about that. I don't think they do. No. Criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd degree. Criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd degree. Criminal possession of a forged instrument in the 2nd degree. Criminal possession of a weapon in the 3rd degree. And by the way, he's fighting extradition. So, and I don't know if he just got a lawyer and was like, do your thing, do whatever you want. Because I just thought maybe because he had a manifesto on him and stuff, maybe he was going to tell his lawyer, like, I don't want to fight. Like, I'm guilty. It was kind of giving that vibe. But his lawyer is fighting the extradition. So if you're wondering what I mean by that, I mean, from the time they even move him from Pennsylvania to New York, it could be a month, or more. It's, there's a long legal process to move him now, and they're going to fight. I just thought maybe he'd say, I'm not going to fight, like just whatever. But it looks like He is. Yes, I know the ghost pew pews scenario of this. Yeah, we'll get to that. And this, again, the criminal complaint, that's all they printed. It is pretty much just that first page. I read the charges and then what it says here. You can read it on your own, but it basically is wearing a distinctive clothing outfit. The, shooter approached Brian Thompson from behind. Then the shooter held what I recognized to be a firearm with a silencer attached at the end and fired it several times at Brian Thompson, causing him to collapse on the ground. I am informed by Detective Oscar Diaz, Shield number 4656 of Manhattan South Homicide Squad, that he was present for the autopsy of Brian Thompson and that the cause of Thompson's death was determined to be, a pew-pew wound to the torso. The defendant is the person shooting and killing Brian Thompson, right? So just identifying this is him and then saying, like, we have this surveillance footage at the hostel. We have the surveillance footage later in the day at the same hostel. And they reviewed business records from the hostel. He used a fake license. If you're wondering what his fake name is, I guess it was a New Jersey license with the name Mark Rosario on it. And it just says at the end, I'm informed by Detective Diaz that he is informed by Tyler Fry of the Altoona Police Department. And then they're just talking about how he was found in Altoona, Pennsylvania, that he was giving people fake IDs, that they questioned him, that he had on him the weapon, and he had written admissions about the crime, which is interesting in the criminal complaint, which we'll get to. Actually, I'll just talk about in a second. There's a lot of interesting things about this once I started doing research, and then it's just signed. That's literally it. So again, I'm just going to get into this. There's only one place I've been able to find that's or actually, no, this morning there were more. Originally, a man named Ken Klippenstein, that's whose Substack this is. If you want to know the first and only person yesterday who printed this manifesto, which I don't even think we should call it that. It is literally very short. It's like 3 paragraphs. But like Washington Post, New York Times, they wouldn't print it. So Ken Klippenstein, he has a Substack. It's KLIPPENSTEIN. Again, I put a link to it in the live sources section in the Discord. If you want a link to join the Discord, just message at FeliceNavidad.live and we will get you a link. But again, I can either read it or I can let AI read it. What do you guys want? What do you guys want to hear?
You can read it.
Okay, I'll just read it so here we go. It's not that long. So this is the manifesto they found on him. To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD. He's a computer engineer, if you guys don't understand. A lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. So again, he's basically making the argument. We pay the most for healthcare and we rank 42 in life expectancy. Hold on. Give me a second. United is and it's indecipherable because this was in his own handwriting, as I understand it. United, meaning United Healthcare Group, is the largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. It has grown and grown, but has our life expectancy? No, the reality is these, indecipherable, have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed, examples being Rosenthal. I was thinking he might be talking about Michael Moore decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I'm the first to face it with such brutal honesty. That's it. Like, that's why I'm like, is this a manifesto or a long Facebook post? Now, I'm going to go in weird order, but I'm just going to be showing you throughout the day. Like, Ted Cruz was one of them that I could tell was one of the first people to post after this all started happening. And I just want to show you how the right and Fox News immediately starts pinning it on the left. Ted Cruz, leftism is a mental disease. The suspected unaliver, an Ivy League graduate, like that means like, I just want to be clear that Ted Cruz is an Ivy League graduate. Please know, Ted Cruz himself isn't he? I believe he is. Oh no, wait. I'm thinking of Senator John Kennedy. I'm not actually sure where Ted Cruz went to law school. Someone needs to check. Oh, I just saw this. Tanya, sorry, I just saw this. Gosh, I hope this works. This guy is hilarious. I'm not being a scam. Okay.
Class war is not the reach for folks need watch here. Withdrew his name from consideration to be the Attorney General of the United States. Poor Republicans had been in a hell of a quandary because of his.
This is a little too long. I'm going to watch this later. I can't. Yeah, I think this is a little too long to listen to right now, but I will listen to it, Tanya. Thank you so much. So anyways, the suspected unaliver, an Ivy League graduate, subscribed to anti-capitalist and climate change causes, according to law enforcement. And you know what's really ironic? Well, what's really ironic about this is he also, according to my own research, which I am a great researcher because I used to do it for beer money in college for my history professors. He also was a fan of Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, who he used to retweet. Like this, I mean, this is a young kid who was kind of a conundrum, I would say. And the unaliver has been widely celebrated by leftists online. Tragic and sick. Sorry, I just have to. Can you do me a favor and look up where Ted Cruz went to college?
I actually just did, and I don't think it was.
Yeah, it's Josh Hawley went to Princeton. I know that. I just couldn't remember where. No, he went to Harvard.
Princeton.
Ted Cruz
Princeton
went to
and Harvard.
Ted Cruz went to Princeton. Ted Cruz went to Harvard Law School. So again, if being an Ivy League graduate makes you predisposed. Oh, thank you, chat. I just saw that you guys were all. I love crowdsourcing. But imagine that. Imagine pinning being an Ivy League graduate that's going to make you some type of degenerate and, in fact, being one yourself.
Hey, Pickles and Felice. Hello, chat. I just noticed that the likes have slowed. If we can get to, let's get to 275,000 by 5 o'clock. That would be awesome. I'll be tapping right here along. Pickles is sitting down here at 468 diamonds. Let's see if we can get something done about that too. Don't forget to gift Felice. They have their Cash App and Venmo next to them also. And message at Felice Navidad Live for Felice's Discord. Or you can ask any of Pickle's mods for his Discord. I believe it's also in his bio.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. And I really think that we can get to that 275 mark before 5 o'clock. If not, I'll come back up then and we'll talk about it. But thank you so much for everything you guys are doing.
Thank you. Okay,
thank you.
Now, again, I'm just going to go. I think it's important to understand, and this is not going to just go completely in order, but it starts with how Fox is characterizing things because it is wild.
So signing in, he's flirting with a girl, he takes the mask off totally. But what I want to know is,
everybody in America saw that picture. Everybody saw this, and then everybody saw more than that when he was in the cab. Why didn't somebody who's like related to him, went to school with him, he's got a cousin who's a delegate somewhere in is it Maryland somewhere? You know, why aren't they saying something? But it's
So again, this guy comes from a very wealthy family out of Maryland, right? They own country clubs, they own assisted living homes. I mean, these people are extremely, extremely wealthy. Just like the person, Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox News, and the irony of Judge Jeanine, I just want you guys to know, if you don't know why Judge Jeanine defends Trump with her life, her husband, Albert, is one of Trump's pay for pardons. Just to be clear of why she's involved in all this. Her husband was one of Trump's pardons. So, yeah, I just think it's very strange. Like, what is she implying? That a bunch of people knew who he was and refused to say anything? I just find it very ironic.
Aaron, well, yeah, I'll say just about an hour ago, I was there inside that courthouse watching as Luigi Mangione walked right past myself and a number of other reporters. He was wearing a blue shirt, blue jeans. He was, of course, handcuffed, and he looked, even in this court appearance, visibly distressed, but he kept his brow furrowed through the duration of this arraignment hearing. And I should say what was interesting, though, Aaron, is you said we haven't heard a statement from the suspect. He did actually speak inside of that courtroom to the judge and to all the folks who were in there. But it was on very selective issues, and I'll just kind of go through what we heard. The judge asked Luigi Mangione a number of questions first about his identity. So Mr. Mangione confirmed that that is his real name. He initially said that his residence was in Maryland, but then the judge actually pressed him on that, and then he said, actually, I have lived at various addresses before then ultimately giving an address in Honolulu, Hawaii. Then he also said that he's worked for 3 years as a data engineer up until about a year ago, and he also told the judge that he has no drug or mental health problems that the court needs to know about. But Aaron, one of the most interesting parts of that particular hearing was actually his statements after the conversation about bail. The prosecutors basically stepped up there and made the case why they believe that this man should be held without bail. They mentioned that he is awaiting potentially an arrest warrant coming from New York City as one of the major reasons. But they also said that prosecutors noted that they found him with $8,000 in U.S. cash, $2,000 in foreign currency, his passport, and also a Faraday bag, which is basically a bag designed to stop transmission of cell service or other sort of things like that. At the end of his speech, the prosecutor's speech, Luigi Mangione said, I actually want to address two of the things that you said. He said, I don't know where that money came from. I'm not sure if it was planted. And then he also said that that bag was waterproof. And the term that the prosecutors used when discussing the Faraday bag, the ghost guns, the 3D printed silencer, was the prosecutors used a phrase saying this is criminal sophistication. Luigi Mangione said, I don't know about any of this criminal sophistication when addressing that. But it's just interesting, Aaron, that of
So if you don't understand, like, I just want to, it's now officially hot in Arizona. I had to take my sweatshirt off. But if you don't understand what a Faraday bag is, a Faraday bag, like, let me give you an example of the last time, because I read a lot of court documents that somebody had a Faraday bag, a real Faraday bag. It blocks all sorts of, like radio waves, and so that you can't track cell phones. Do you remember that Chinese billionaire's yacht? His name was Gwen Wo-ji, that Steve Bannon was arrested on. When they finally got Gwen Wo-ji, who, if you don't remember, he was living in 2 floors of a huge Manhattan like condo complex / 5-star hotel. And they found him with like 45 Faraday bags and hundreds of cell phones in the Faraday bags. He had perpetrated a huge, like, $1 billion crypto fraud called a Himalaya coin. And then suddenly one of the floors burst into flames. I mean, you could, like, when you're caught with Faraday bags like that, I mean, that is criminal sophistication. And basically what Luigi is saying is like, hey, that's not a Faraday bag. That's just a waterproof bag. And notice they don't mention it in that criminal complaint. That's what I was saying when I was saying, we'll talk about it later. They don't mention the money that was on him. They don't mention the alleged Faraday bag. I wonder if that's because he's disputing it or not. I don't know why. I'm just pointing out that like it's not in the criminal complaint. Because he's like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. But I mean, that's, I guess, the grounds to deny him bail is that, which I would think he would be denied bail anyways. But I'm just saying, like, they don't mention it. Oh, I don't know if I should play this. This could get bad. Okay, first of all, trigger warning. I just want to say a lot of these clips we're going to hear, I do not approve of. Okay, what I want to do is show everyone what is going on in the news, like the people's receipts. I'm showing you receipts of the conversation that has been going on around this. A lot of what is said here, I do not like. Okay, so Piers Morgan had Taylor Lorenz on his show. And like, I don't know, her callousness, like, I just want to say violating someone's bodily autonomy, which if you understand, like the fight for women's bodily autonomy is huge. Basically your ability to operate in life or make decisions without fear of coercion or violence. That's what bodily autonomy is. I think everybody should enjoy bodily autonomy in the world, especially in this country, in the free world, in the alleged free world. So I support bodily autonomy. I don't want anybody to have their bodily autonomy violated. So just saying that. And if trigger warning, because this is callous.
I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Joy at the man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again...
We're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Americans that he murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people. And the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health care.
So should they all be killed then? Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
Well, why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
I think because it wouldn't fix
you seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
I find your question.
A bloke's being murdered in the street. I don't find it funny at all.
I don't find it funny that tens of thousands of Americans die every year and because they are denied life-saving health care from people like the CEO. Now, I want to fix the system. You're right. We shouldn't be going around shooting each other with vigilante justice. No. I think that it is a good thing that this murder has led to America, or really the media elites and politicians in this country paying attention to this issue for the first time. You mentioned you couldn't understand why somebody would feel this reaction when they watched a CEO die. It's because you have not dealt, it sounds like, with the American healthcare system in the way that millions of other Americans have.
I've dealt with the healthcare system in various ways in America. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but the idea that I would view it as something joyful. The idea that I would view it as something joyful that a man who's just a healthcare executive, has been executed in the street, I find completely bizarre.
Yeah, you guys, I can't do anything about the echo. Has nothing to do with my setup. I'm using TikTok Studio. There are glitches all the time. I'll uninstall it and reinstall it after this, but there is nothing I can do about the echo. It has nothing to do with anything I'm doing.
Yeah, that was sloppy. That was sloppy on her part.
Of Taylor
And
Lorenz.
then she walked it, but yeah.
I know. Well, it's like, I get what you're trying to say, but like the way it started out is really gross. Like, yeah.
Doubling down on the way you said it was bad too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm just playing. What my goal is with the people's receipts is to really give a clear picture of like what is being said, right? Like, and no, like, I cry every minute women's bodily autonomy is violated, right? I don't want anyone's bodily autonomy to be violated. But I do find it very ironic, right? And you guys will see this, it's going to become clear the way that this is being painted by Fox News is that, sorry, I need to turn up my own headphones. I can't hear myself talking. It is that basically this kid bad, Daniel Penny good, right? Daniel Penny, a man who choked out a black man for 6 minutes, right? Who never actually touched anyone, was yelling and was mentally unstable. He's schizophrenic. He was in a mental health crisis on a subway and was choked until unaliving for 6 minutes. And Fox News, this is the comparison they're drawing. They're saying Daniel Penny's a hero. And through my research, I found out that Kid Rock donated $3 million to his defense fund. Vivek, yeah, I'm serious. Vivek Ramaswamy donated to Daniel Penny's defense fund. They are talking about building him a statue on Fox News because he's a hero. Because a black man who got on a subway, was in a mental health crisis and yelling, which as someone who, lived in New York City briefly, like this is very common thing. He never actually touched anyone. He was just yelling, right? And then was unalived. And they're saying that guy is a hero, donating millions of dollars to his defense fund. And I'm just saying the comparison is messed up, is what I'm saying. Like, right? There's no comparison. Like, to me, Daniel Penny's not a hero. There's a victim in that case. There's a victim in this case. And the American people are victims of late stage capitalism. In my opinion, healthcare is a right, especially when you're in the developed world. In a first world country with the number one gross domestic product, we're paying as much in taxes as we are. I think that healthcare is a right. I think the American people are victims of capitalists of the 1%. I think that Jordan Neely, I'm saying it right? Right. Yeah. Jordan Neely is a victim and Brian Thompson is a victim, right? There's a lot of victims. But celebrating someone being choked out for 6 minutes seems a little bit wild to me. Oh, and this is so. Okay, so this is I don't like Colin Rugg. I don't suggest following him, but he's right-wing extremist. But yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to say he was the first person that I saw reporting like what the family was saying. Right, this Luigi kid comes from a very rich family in Baltimore. So he's saying Luigi's family releases odd statement, says they are shocked by his arrest and they have no information besides the media reports. I don't know. The statement was released by Nino Mangione, a cousin who serves in the Maryland House of Delegates, right? So this is someone in state government, is what he's saying. The Mangione family is known throughout the Baltimore region. The grandfather, Nick Mangione Sr., purchased the Turf Valley Country Club in Elliott City in the 1970s and then developed the golf course community. The family purchased another country club in the 1980s. They also own nursing home company Lorraine, that's what I was saying, health services, as well as radio station WCBM AM, which airs right-leaning programs. That's what I'm trying to say. This kid comes, and from my research, it seems like he comes from a very rich, right-leaning family. So that's why it's kind of interesting that Fox is doing this. Like, it could probably be any one of their children. Like, we're talking about the 1% of the 1% conservative right-leaning family, and then this happens. You know what I mean? So here, and this is again, that's him, but this is the actual statement. I just wanted to show you what was posted. It says, unfortunately, we cannot comment on news reports regarding Luigi Mangione. We only know what we have read in the media. Really, you guys have filthy amounts of money and you're in government. Like, I'm sure you could call somebody and figure out something. Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We offer our prayers to the family of Brian Thompson, and we ask people to pray for all involved. We are devastated by this news, the Mangione family. This is going to end up like, this is these are like the next Menendez brothers. Have you guys been following like the Menendez trial and how they were like kind of demonized, and then years later it came out that all this crazy shit was going on in their family? And I'm just drawing a comparison when this type of stuff happens in like extremely wealthy families. In the beginning, it's like a cone of silence. They circle the wagons. It's like, we know nothing. We heard nothing. None of us know anything about this. And then decades go by, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, here's the real story, which is much more horrific than you could ever imagine. I think this is going to be one of those cases we're never going to know like what was going on until decades later.
Before we go on, I was going to say I think I'm going to dip out just a little bit early. I'm going to take a tiny nap before debating tonight.
Sleep is so important.
Crashing out over here. I don't want to be over here yawning for the next 30, 40 minutes. So.
No, it's cool. Get some sleep. And if I feel good, then I'll join you tonight. I feel pretty good. I did get at least like 4 hours of sleep. So if I still if I don't fall asleep after this, then I'll debate with you tonight. What time do you think you're going to start?
I'll probably do like a 3-hour nap and then get up. So like 7, 8.
We're so alike. Have a good sleep. See you later, Gator.
Alrighty. See you guys. Thank you guys.
Bye, Pickles. Okay, so this is going to get weird too. This is weird too. Maybe if he's gone, it might help with the echo, because I don't know. Again, I know there's an echo when I play the videos. There's no reason. Like, I've been using TikTok Studio to know long enough that I might it could be a glitch and I need to uninstall and reinstall. But this is the guy you heard them mention that Luigi went to Hawaii. Oh my gosh. Actually, I was thinking about this. You guys are going to remember this. Do you remember the pandemic? Like when we were all like in crisis, and then people who had disposable income started, all of these TikTok videos started popping up of people with, I don't want to say wealthy, but let's just say it. Kids whose parents had a lot of money were like migrating to Hawaii and living there, and like people from native Hawaiians were like, do not come here. This is an island. We have like an outbreak of disease. Like, this is super rude. Like, we are trying to, an island is a bubble and it's really hard to reach herd immunity. And every time you like casually migrate here on a plane, you're bringing disease. It seems like Luigi was one of those people. Okay, that's all. That's what I'm saying. It seems like around 2022, he showed up in Hawaii at one of these. They're like, group living surf communities, which I don't want to use the word hostel, because as someone who disappeared into South America, I used to pay literally $4 or $5 a night to stay in a hostel in literally like a cot that didn't even have a mattress. So not that type of hostel. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, not a real hostel. But so this is the guy who, and by all accounts, Luigi seems to be a nice guy, and this kid is in shock. This is the, I think, person that runs the surf community that Luigi migrated to.
Looking forward to living in Hawaii and being healthy. He was excited about getting the
just say someone said Hype House. Yes, like a bunch of the people from Hype House during COVID all of a sudden showed up in Hawaii. Yes, exact. And that's sad that I know what you're talking about, because I did. I used to watch that kind of TikTok. What else were we supposed to do during the pandemic? But yes, exactly like that.
New people, experiencing new culture.
And did he, all right, so I know this was back in around 2022, so you're coming out of COVID. I'm curious, RJ, did you know where he was working remotely, or why he had suddenly decided to decamp to Honolulu? Was there sort of any break in his life or anything that you ever became aware of?
No. It's very natural. Our members all have remote jobs, and Hawaii is one of those places that many people would love to live. So we provide kind of an all-inclusive living experience, so it makes it easy for them to move to the islands.
Okay, so I know you considered him, from your interactions with him, the time you spent together, as someone who would be a lifelong friend. What was he like when you knew him? And I know you shared some pictures with us as well. I mean, in terms of how social he was and the sort of interactions that he would have had with the other people in your co-living community.
He was a very thoughtful person, communicated really well, was friendly, had good relationships with everyone. He was even, in some ways, a bit of a leader. He helped spearhead a book club that we started just so that we could, keep those intellectual pursuits alive from back when we were in school.
So you mentioned that he was into health. How did that manifest himself? And you mentioned you went hiking together, things like that. Can you tell us more about that? Why he cared about health? And I understand also that at one point you did become aware of some issues with his back.
Yeah, so when I first interviewed him before he moved in, I remember he said he had a back issue and he was hoping to get stronger in Hawaii. So he's always focused on trying. When he first came, he went on a surf lesson with other members, and unfortunately, just a basic surf lesson, he was in bed for about a week. We had to get a different bed for him that was more firm, and I know it.
So again, like what we're talking about here, this guy had like a chronic spinal issue that was causing sciatica. I used to be a Division I athlete, so because of I played volleyball, and when you have a ton of inflammation in your lower back, it mimics the condition he had, and the inflammation, the swelling starts pinching nerves, and then it shoots down your leg in pain, right? There's a lot of like it can be, and and then when it gets to be absolutely unbearable and you can put no weight on your leg anymore, let's say, then that's when the nerve is like dying and you're in real trouble and you might be paralyzed. So yeah, what they're describing, I mean, what it sounds like he was suffering from is a chronic condition of extreme never-ending pain. Like mine was due to inflammation in my lower back. So that's something that I could do something about, right? I can ice, I can stretch, I can rest, I can do things. It sounds like he had an actual spinal condition that was causing sciatica that only surgery could fix. I actually read, because I don't think he really goes into how bad it truly was. I read I believe it was either I read articles in the New York Times, Washington Post, The Hill, and one of them was saying that like, a bunch of kids that went to that very rich school. It's called like the Gilman School. It's like $40,000 a year. He went to an all boys private school where he was valedictorian, by the way. This kid was valedictorian. He was like in like engineering, robot type science. This kid was by all accounts a genius. I have not heard one person. Everyone who's interviewed and talks about him is doing it anonymously. I imagine because they come from very rich families and don't want to be associated with him. But they all give glowing reports that this is an amazing, smart, intelligent kid, right? But actually, I don't even remember what I was saying now. But the point is he had a chronic back condition that was not getting any better, and he was awaiting, or a surgery was to come. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. It was in one of the articles I read, one of the anonymous kids he went to school with said that his back condition was so bad, like he didn't talk about it, but it was very obvious that like it was limiting his quality of life. And one kid, or one anonymous person who said they went to school with him, said that like it stopped him from being able to date. Like he didn't have a romantic life because his back was so bad, like that he couldn't. So like when I say he didn't have a quality of life, that's why and this guy is saying he did one surf lesson, which if you've ever had a beginner surf lesson in Hawaii, you're in like 3 feet of water and you're just kind of like floating on the board. It's not, you know what I mean? It's nothing. So, and he was in bed for a week and they had to get him a different mattress. Yeah. Well, this is his roommate from Hawaii. That's who's talking right now. But I don't think he says that in this interview, but this guy did several interviews throughout the day on different outlets. But I think I read that. Maybe he was interviewed for a publication. I think I read it in an article, but yeah.
It was really traumatic and difficult. When you're in your early 20s and you can't, do some basic things, it can be really, really difficult.
Did he have any conversations with you then or even afterwards about that issue? And his back, how he hurt it? Obviously anything to do with the insurance process of it?
I don't. The only thing he ever mentioned, he mentioned, I need to go back to see my doctor and I'm going to have surgery. I encouraged him and brought him to yoga classes. He would do calisthenics on his own. I know he was really focused on being strong and healthy, but it also weighed on him that he knew that there was an impending surgery.
So did you, in the context of all the books that you were reading and the book club that he was leading, did you have conversations about any of the issues that, we now even see in the writings that he had on him when he was arrested? Did he talk about, not even as maybe as specific as health insurance, but capitalism, anything of that nature?
I apologize. I haven't read any of the media that's happened. I heard about it when a reporter called me. So I'm not familiar with what his writings were, but I know we talked about social issues and we talked about how to improve the world. And we talked about, issues that are, say with capitalism or with the healthcare system or with housing or the food systems. It wasn't, anything specific. It wasn't like he had an axe to grind or he was even upset or angry about a particular issue. Or they were just natural intellectual conversations that you have when you're inquisitive.
So you stayed in touch with him. I know you spoke to him earlier this year, although I understand, RJ, that you tried to reach out to him multiple times even since then, but that he had not responded in those cases. Can you tell me about your last conversation with him?
Mostly just text messages. So I knew he was going to have a surgery. So earlier this year, I checked in with him. He confirmed that he had surgery, and he sent me the x-rays. It looked heinous with just giant screws going into his spine. After that, he called me once. I didn't pick up. We kind of texted a little bit, but we, last night, unfortunately, I feel terrible now. I wish, I would have made more of an effort to communicate with him.
Did you ever have any conversation with him where he brought up anything like guns or anything in that area?
Never once talked about guns, never once talked about violence. He was absolutely a not violent person, as far as I could tell. Yeah.
So RJ, in all of this, as you're just struggling to get your head around what happened here with someone, that you had considered would be a lifelong friend. And I know you've only had a few hours to even try to comprehend it. But just in these initial hours, do you have any idea why or how someone that you knew in the way you knew him could have done this?
Personally, I can make zero sense of it. There's never justification for violence. We live in a democratic system with processes and procedures to address, our issues. And I can make no sense of it.
Well,
So I did just look up how to fix I just was Googling it. It said to just turn down the casting sound completely. So I just turned it down most of the way. I don't know if that helped at all at the end, but I did turn it down. So we'll see. I'll play around with it later and uninstall and reinstall it. But yeah, so this is his friend from Honolulu. And I can tell you, I've read every article there. It did help. Okay. So that must be it. Wait, then let me just test it again. Let me turn it all the way down and you guys tell me if this helps the echo, because it could be that simple. Just don't have the volume of casting up at all. Oopsies. Tell me if this helps. Can you hear that? Can you guys hear that? Can you hear it? No sound. Yeah, that's what I thought. You can't turn it all the way down. You just got to turn down a little. Okay. Tell me if you can hear this.
The mail matched the description of the United Healthcare murder in New York City. When officers arrived, they made contact with the male without a face mask on. that male was asked to remove his face
Yeah,
mask.
that's good. I think that's what it is. Just keep it
Officers
low.
immediately
But not.
recognized him as a suspect.
Anyways, I'll play with it
in
later.
New York
But
City shooting.
here, let me start this over. So again, this is now. I just think it's interesting, and I just want to say, like I said, I'm an avid reader. I read every interview there is to read about this kid. I listened to every clip I could find on the internet, and I cannot find anybody that knew him in his past that says a bad word about him. Like, that's the weird thing, is there's not one person that's like, red flag, oh, we saw it coming, like when I did research, remember that, which I don't want to, no child is, inherently good or bad. As a teacher, I would never say that. But when you look into the past of the child, that 14-year-old in Georgia that went to the school and did that. I mean, what he has is this past history of insane trauma and like begging for help and parents telling the school like this kid needs counseling. You can kind of pick up the trail of, hey, something like this was coming. There were a lot of red flags. People were noticing them. And because he was in a lower socioeconomic situation, they were ignored and he was not provided with help. I just want to say that the difference here is I can find none of that. I cannot find a person who doesn't say this was the kindest, the most caring, the most thoughtful, who went out of his way to help everyone, who started book clubs. That's kind of what's eerie about this, is it doesn't seem like there were signs that were there. Exactly. The only thing that you can tell is that he had this spinal condition. He was in chronic, never-ending pain. That is the only thing I can tell that everyone can agree on that they knew about, and that he would try his best to not talk about it, to not complain, but it would bubble up sometimes and they would know it was going on. I mean, I'm just saying, he was starting book clubs. And you heard that guy, because at first Fox was trying to say, oh, he was, he loves the Unabomber. He was reading Ted Kaczynski's memoir. And that kid, his friend from Honolulu, was like, I suggested that book. Oh, no, wait, he didn't say it yet. Oh, sorry. That's a clip ahead. I blew it. The kid that you just heard talking, it's actually him who wanted to read that in the book club. He admits it. He's like, no, he didn't want to. I was the one that suggested reading that book. So it's not, they tried to say that he had some preoccupation, like what they accuse Columbine people of and stuff. But then that kid admits later on Fox News, he's like, I suggested that book. Sorry, I've been watching so much of this, you just don't know. I'm all I can think of. Now let's listen to Josh Shapiro lay down some law and order.
This killer was not a hero. He should not be hailed. Mr. Thompson, I understand, was laid to rest earlier today in Minnesota in a private setting. As the conversation continues about this case, let's be mindful not to dehumanize him and make him just an avatar of a system that is disliked by many. He was a father, he was a husband, and he did not deserve to die like this on a sidewalk in New York City. I again want to thank all law enforcement that's present here this evening.
Which, to my knowledge, no one said that he did. Sometimes I think Josh Shapiro takes things too far. Someone, I think it was Cleveland, said, did he admit to it? Well, I mean, he had a manifesto where he just says, basically to save the FBI time because I have respect for what you do. Let me make this easier for you. I wouldn't call it, I don't know why they're calling it a manifesto. It's 3 paragraphs that were handwritten. And I read it earlier. You might have missed it. Guys, keep tapping the screen. Tapping is clapping. It takes me so long to put together this show. I appreciate it. This is my main source of income. I do rely on tips and donations to keep my show going. And it is much appreciated. This is my Cash App and Venmo. If you would like to support me, please do. Also, sorry. Christy says, what do you get when you cross a vampire with a snowman? Frostbite. That's a good one. I love terrible jokes. It's my favorite thing in life. But again, yeah, did he admit to it? On his person when he was apprehended was an admission. But if you listen to what his lawyer is saying, his lawyer is kind of like, I've seen no evidence linking my client to this crime, which is his job essentially. But yeah, I mean, actually, I'm tired of Josh Shapiro. I don't want to hear that again. I'm moving past it. Josh Shapiro is basically like, he's not a hero.
One of the most
like, I think multiple things can be true. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the point. And I'm tired of like the false equivalences. It's not okay to violate someone's bodily autonomy, but I unfortunately live in a society where my bodily autonomy is being violated every day and nobody seems to care. Right? Women are in a position where we do not enjoy bodily autonomy. Again, if you weren't here earlier when I was giving the definition, what do I mean by bodily autonomy? It means you can go about your life and make decisions without fear of coercion or violence. And right now, women are not in a position where we legally, under the law, enjoy bodily autonomy. So I do think when I hear people like Josh Shapiro telling people don't glamorize, first of all, who's doing I don't know what you're talking about when you say that, but I do think that we have half of the population who don't have the same rights as the other half, and everyone seems to be existing as if that's not happening. So it sounds like Brian Thompson's bodily autonomy has been violated. Women's bodily autonomy is being violated every single day, and it seems to be like the majority of people in this country are okay with that. There are obviously a lot of contradictions and hypocrisies going on in late stage capitalism. And I can say, I'm sorry that Brian Thompson's bodily autonomy was violated. Just like I'm sorry every day that mine is, right? Nobody's bodily autonomy should be violated. And, right? And in addition, private insurance companies, right? They are not used to think about customer service. You would think we are the customers. No, the customers are the shareholders. And in many cases in private insurance, specifically United Healthcare, which he correctly pointed out in his manifesto, has the largest market cap. Second largest is Apple in the United States. Right? It is in their best interests many times to deny people care who are in late stages of illnesses, stage 3, stage 4. It's too expensive to even attempt to keep them alive. That's why they are using algorithms and AI, right? That's what they were being investigated by the United States Congress for, is their pre-authorization system, which is automatic denials. Not even a human being reviewing cases, just algorithms denying people care that led to many unalivings, that led to people's bodily autonomy being violated. So many things can be true at once in society. And that is what people are saying, right? Like, I think it is horrible that Brian Thompson had his bodily autonomy violated. I think it is horrible that women's bodily autonomy is being violated. I think it is horrible that healthcare does not seem to be a basic human right in this country. We have the #1 gross domestic product, yet we will allow people to unalive because they can't get medical care because they don't have coverage. All of those things can, in fact, be true at once.
Interesting parts that animated Mangione inside that courtroom. During the discussion of bail, the prosecutor detailed a lot of things we've been mentioning. The ghost gun found on him, the silencer found on him, but the prosecutors also highlighted about $10,000, $8,000 in US dollars, and then $2,000 in foreign currency that was found on his person. Also, they claimed that he had a Faraday bag, which is basically a bag used to conceal wireless transmissions, say from your phone or laptop. Well, the prosecutor said that was an indication of criminal sophistication and reason why they should hold him on bail. Mangione actually said at the end of that speech by the prosecution, I'd like to correct 2 things. First, I don't know where any of that money came from. I'm not sure if it was planted. And also that bag was waterproof, so I don't know about criminal sophistication.
Again, so this is just him later in the day kind of echoing the weird part about the criminal complaint, right? The only thing that Mangione was disputing during his appearance in front of the judge was, number one, I didn't have that money on me, and number two, I don't have a Faraday bag, I just have a waterproof bag. And those two things are not mentioned in the criminal complaint, but they were mentioned as reasons to deny him bail. And this is okay. So again, he was being hauled like inside the courthouse and was trying to yell towards the media, which I was reading a Washington Post article where they were saying that he was yelling something about insurance companies. I can't hear it personally, but I guess it was reporters there who were saying they could hear. Yeah, that's what it is. He's yelling that like insurance companies are an insult to the intelligence of the American people. That's what it is, which again, I just want to bring up the point that the way we need to look at this is no one's saying what he did was right, but he can also be saying things that are not untrue, right? I agree, Jeff Smith. Well said. Completely well said. The point is to look at, right? It's not about celebrating what he did, right? Violating someone's bodily autonomy is wrong, just like it's wrong when women's is violated every single day. But but we can have a larger conversation about capitalism and people's health in America.
You know, Macho Man over here was yelling yesterday when they picked him up at McDonald's in Altoona. He started shaking, and this morning it looks like he peed in his pants after being arrested. Is he a tough guy or what?
No, I saw the wet spot in the groin, and I immediately thought he soiled himself. We'll have a follow-up on that tonight.
Where's the picture?
Yeah, look, it looks like he wet himself.
No, he's in blue.
Yeah, not that picture. That picture. If you zoom in, you can see he wet himself. Now, maybe he spilled a Diet Coke from Mickey D's. I don't know.
Yeah,
but that is not a good look.
Macho Man over here.
So again, what Fox News did all day, I'm not showing you this because I like it. I'm showing you what Fox News did. So Daniel Penny was acquitted yesterday. Fox has spent the day doing kind of split screens and saying this kid violated someone's bodily autonomy and he is awful. And we should throw the book at him because he violated a rich man's bodily autonomy. But Daniel Penny violated a person a black man who was in a mental health crisis, had schizophrenia, and was unhoused. And what I learned from Fox yesterday is when you violate that person's bodily autonomy, you're a hero. We're talking about two cases of someone's bodily autonomy being violated. One person is a hero and one person is awful. And women's bodily autonomy is being violated every day. So that's the conversation we need to have in an intelligent way, right? Keep tapping the screen. Tapping is clapping, guys. Keep tapping. I really appreciate it. Let's keep tapping. Let's get to 350K.
One, the bad boy factor. Women are coming out of the woodwork saying this guy, I want to be your Bonnie and Clyde. You know, you look for damaged guys. That's kind of a sick fantasy that women have.
Some.
I heard you giggle. Some women. Some sources in the psychiatric community who says why people like this are praising this guy. One, the bad boy factor. Women are coming out of the woodwork saying this guy.
I just cannot. I'm so tired of women's intelligence being insulted on Fox News. What are you talking about? Think about Donald Trump. Fox News elected an adjudicated rapist, right? Donald Trump's cabinet is the who's who of assaulting people and being glorified for it. It is the right that glorifies unalivings, that glorifies violence, that glorifies violence against women, that says, oh, don't worry, but he's a war hero. So what? We have collateral damage in the form of women credibly accusing someone of SA. And he's implying that people on the left glorify men who violate people's bodily autonomy. I think it is very obviously the opposite, right? I think that what is happening on the left is a high level intellectual conversation about whether or not people have a right to healthcare in this country has started. That is completely different, right, than glorifying or seeking out people who seem to enjoy violating people's bodily autonomy. That's unique to the right. You guys glorify war. You guys glorify aggression. You guys glorify violence. That's not happening over here. And the hypocrisy I saw on Fox News yesterday, I mean, it knows no bounds.
And I think that it's disgusting how some people say, oh, this is because of the insurance industry. You check yourself.
Brace yourselves for this. This might be one of the worst comments of the entire day. Guys, tapping is clapping. Take your rage out on the screen.
On that, especially if you're on the left. And how do you think we ended up in a place where there is less competition and fewer good products in the insurance industry? It is messed up, I agree. But that's not because people weren't suggesting a better way. If you think socialized medicine is a better way, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Go to Canada and try to find a specialist.
I know we can't count on this woman to read any sort of statistics or data, but all of the data says that Canada's healthcare system has better outcome than ours. What you always hear Fox News saying is that Canada's healthcare system has long wait times. That is not for emergent care, right? And it's not true. The wait times are still better than ours. Universal healthcare has better outcomes than our healthcare model. Right? And exactly, we have wait times. I mean, we all know what's going on in America. I'm just calling out that this woman is blatantly, I mean, it's one, you're ignorant of the facts. You've never read any studies in healthcare around universal healthcare to know, like, who he said it, you know, what Luigi said in his manifesto, to remind you, he said, we are, you know, I can't remember what he said, number one in healthcare costs, number 40 something in outcomes. Like our healthcare system is broken, right? All the developed countries in the world have a better healthcare system than us. We are the only developed country in the world that does not have some model of universal healthcare, right? Canada just has one system. The UK has a separate system, right, where the doctors actually work for the government. The system that I like the most, Bernie Sanders Medicare for All, because you're going to hear her tell lies about that and say, why they don't have a plan. Yeah, there is a plan and a cost analysis, right, that we already know. And in Medicare for All, doctors still get to be valued in capitalism. You know, they pay a lot to go to med school. They have their skilled laborers. They need to make their money. They still can. Hospitals are still capitalistic. They make their money. All that happens is private insurance companies now become the government. That same infrastructure is run by the government, right? We bill the government, they do the administration, they pay the bills, done. And there are cost analysis of it, and it is cost effective.
Go to Scotland, go to England. It is a disaster.
Right.
And you can end up with, let's say, an elderly woman like my late stepmother.
Anecdotal story that no one cares about. This woman is telling lie after lie and then goes to, oh, let me tell you about my random family member to prove a point that holds no water.
Stepmother-in-law has a UTI, can't get attention. 18 weeks go by. And this woman couldn't get care. You think that that's better? And I can understand how frustrated people get on all sides of the thing. But when you say that healthcare is a right, as Bernie Sanders did today, he said he
Who can't get attention for a UTI for 18 weeks? What? Was your grandmother alive before penicillin? Maybe then I could see it.
disagree with the violence, but he said, but he's showing us what people have come to know, that healthcare is a right. Okay, if you believe that, how are you paying for it? Let's just have the discussion. Let's have the debate. You just have the slogan, and then you don't do anything about it, and then you sit there behind people like Taylor Lorenz, who is somebody who should never be interviewed again.
Yep.
She seeks the attention. She's got a problem. It is not right. So it's despicable what happened, and you had people on CNN comparing Daniel Penny to this guy. That's disgusting to me.
Yeah.
Again, Daniel Penny is a man who unalived a black man on a subway who hadn't touched anyone, who was in a mental health crisis and was screaming things, right? And if you don't know the history of Daniel Penny was in the situation he was in because his mother, right, had been unalived, murdered, and found in a stuffed into a suitcase. And then he went into a mental health spiral, was later diagnosed with schizophrenia, was unhoused, got onto the subway and was yelling, as we all know who've lived in New York and have been on a subway, was yelling things. I'm sorry, Neely. Yeah. Daniel Penn. Yeah, sorry. I'm talking about Neely. Yeah. What? I'm sorry. Did I get the names backwards? Sorry. I have been reading a lot and got it backwards. But yeah, this is a person who was in a mental health crisis, exacerbated by the fact his mother was unalived in a horrible way in a DV situation, was found later in a suitcase. That started his mental health spiral. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, was on a subway, in a mental health crisis, never actually touched anyone, was choked out for 6 minutes. That's what the case was about, was like, hey, anybody, this is a guy who's trained in the military. Can do that for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, max a couple minutes, 6 minutes. People got off the subway. No one was there anymore, and he was still doing it. And he's a hero. And again, when you boil it down, this is the point. This is the logic. People's bodily autonomy is being violated, right? Women's every day in this country, we don't have bodily autonomy. Brian Thompson's bodily autonomy was violated. That is wrong, right? So was Neely's. That is wrong. But for some reason, if a rich, successful CEO's bodily autonomy is violated, that is a crime, right? That is you are the worst of the worst on Fox News. But when a poor Black man in a mental health crisis has his bodily autonomy violated and is unalived, you're a hero. It's all cases of people's bodily autonomy being violated. There's no difference.
Liberal wackos are treating suspected killer Luigi Mangione as a folk hero. First, by salivating over his Italian good looks.
God, I don't suggest you go watch it, but Laura Ingraham is on a tear. Like, I just can't even express how gross it is, the things that Laura Ingraham are saying. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. Oh, this is the part. So they were trying to say that, that Luigi kid was obsessed with the Unabomber, and then this guy, this is his Honolulu roommate, is like, no, I suggested we read that book. And Jesse Waters is like, what?
I mentioned that one of the great ways he contributed to the surf break community was by spearheading a book club. And he presented a bunch of interesting books to read. I think we started with Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and a few texts in. I actually proposed that we read, it's kind of a half joke, but read the Unabomber Manifesto. I always wanted to read it, but never got around to it. So that was my suggestion. We had a normal discussion, debate around it. Nothing that stood out at the time, no anger, no special affinity towards it, just, thought-provoking discussion.
You suggested reading Ted Kaczynski's book. Why? Why were you interested in that?
I have an academic background, and I really enjoy reading just about anything, different perspectives, right, left, middle, progressive, things about
Because Jesse wanted him to say the opposite. Do you know what I'm saying? Jesse Waters desperately, that's what they were doing earlier in the day. They were like, oh, he wrote this review on Amazon from this Ted Kaczynski book. And then this kid's like, no, it was me. But here's the thing. You can read about Ted Kaczynski in a book club and not commit a crime, Jesse. And then Jesse basically tries to railroad this guy and imply that he's crazy, but he hasn't committed a crime.
Ancients, the future, and wanted to understand a little bit more about what he wrote, why he wrote it, and maybe some historical context around that.
Okay, there's a lot of academic books. It's just interesting that tickled your fancy. Did you turn him on to the Unabomber? It sounds like it.
I wouldn't say I turned him on to it, but it was my selection for our book club.
Okay, because the manifesto that we got our hands on cites that quite often.
I mentioned one of the...
Jesse desperately wanted it to be the other way around. He's like, oh, I don't know what to do with this now. It was not him?
Reports earlier that
oh, this is the lawyer. Okay, this is good. So this is Luigi's lawyer now on with Caitlin Collins later in the night, saying that a bunch of people, I guess, are trying to pay his legal bills.
That there was, people were inundating you with offers to help pay for his legal bills. Is that accurate?
I have received some emails. I have not seen them personally, but my understanding from my staff is people are doing that.
That people are reaching out to you and offering to help pay for his legal bills.
That's correct.
Would you accept those offers? I mean, I imagine you maybe have, I don't know, have you ever gotten that before?
Nah, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't.
Why do you think you would not accept that?
I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable about that. So I don't know. I haven't given that much thought, but I'm not looking, obviously my...
Again, if you weren't here earlier when I just mentioned it on one of my rants today, like it's come out that Daniel Penny, the man who was acquitted for unaliving black man in a mental health crisis on the subway, Kid Rock donated millions to his legal defense fund. Vivek Ramaswamy donated to his legal defense fund. Right-wingers donated tons of money to Daniel Penny's legal defense fund, a man who violated someone's bodily autonomy. But apparently, I guess if somebody tries to give money to this legal defense fund, that's wrong. I'm just pointing out, again, to me, all I see in America is people's bodily autonomy being constantly violated.
And appreciates the support that he has, but I don't know. I just I'd have to look in, but it just doesn't sit right with me, really.
Why do you think they're offering?
I don't know. People, you talk about, the Supreme Court says, all these rich billionaires can give all kind of money to candidates, and that's free speech. So maybe these people are exercising their right to free speech and.
Boom. That actually was a good, because at first I was like, what? Why is this guy not saying anything? But truly, that's what Citizens United is about, right? It's about corporations' right to free speech. Corporations are a bunch of people, and maybe corporations want free speech to donate to a PAC to give billions of dollars, right? Elon Musk used his free speech to give $277 million to Trump in this last election. And that lawyer is drawing a comparison, right? Drawing a line of logic and saying maybe they're exercising their free speech. I mean, hey, maybe they are. Oh, I don't want to play those. I'm not doing it. But again, this section I'm just going to call, I just wanted to get into the situation with Neely, right? This guy had Neely in a chokehold for 6 minutes on the subway. He was in a mental health crisis. He has schizophrenia, and that happened. And I just am showing this because right? Daniel Penny was acquitted. Like I just said, it turns out a bunch of right-wing Republicans donated a lot of money to his defense fund. And what happened yesterday on Fox News was them saying Daniel Penny should have statues erected in his honor, like what they did with Kyle Rittenhouse. If you unalive an unhoused black man in a mental health crisis, you are a hero in America. We will give you millions of dollars to your defense. That's the comparison. That's what they're saying. I just want to point this out. According to passengers, Neely hadn't touched anyone, but had expressed willingness to unalive. Go to jail, even to unalive someone, some said. The former street performer was unhoused, had schizophrenia, had synthetic devil's lettuce in his system, and had been, well, I'm not talking about his past convictions because I don't actually think that that has any relevance. No one knew what those were on that subway. What happened on May 1st, 2023? On May 1st, 2023, Penny had left class and boarded an Uptown F train in Manhattan to head to the gym. Neely was on board the train, and witnesses said he was shouting about needing food and something to drink before whipping his jacket to the floor and starting to scream. Now, if you've ever lived in New York, business as usual on this, that is a normal subway ride, unfortunately. They differed in descriptions of his movements, whether they were threatening. Like there was a man pouring water, a white man pouring water on this guy's head, trying to get him to stop choking him. It says Penny stepped in and approached Neely from behind. With the help of two other passengers, Penny pinned Neely to the ground and placed him in a chokehold until Neely's body went limp and he lost consciousness. The medical examiner's office ruled the unaliving a homicide caused by the compression of the neck. The train stopped at the Broadway Lafayette Street station in Manhattan, allowing passengers to get off. They got off. The people who he said were in danger got off the train, but he did not let go. Prosecutors and the defense both agree that Penny had the right to step in, but prosecutors argue that Penny used too much force on an unarmed man. Which I agree, right? That's the point. Prosecutor told jurors at the start of the summons Monday that Daniel Penny used too much force for too long on Neely, holding him in a chokehold for nearly 6 minutes. Prosecutors argued that he could have released Neely after passengers stepped off the train at the station once he was no longer a threat to others. Like that is what it is for me as well. It's 6 minutes. Try 1 minute. And he's and he's limp, right? Like, come on. This is a person in a mental health crisis. But again, I'm just telling you what's going on Fox. This is a hero, and they are literally talking about building a statue in his in his honor. Kid Rock donated millions to him. So did Vivek Ramaswamy to defend this guy. And he is a hero for violating someone's bodily autonomy to the point of unaliving.
I'm not a confrontational person. I don't really extend myself. I think this type of thing is very uncomfortable. All this attention in my mind is very uncomfortable. And I would prefer without it. I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
Again, he never touched anyone. I just want to be clear, right? These are the people of free speech that don't want their free speech violated, right? I just want to be clear that man never touched anyone. He was talking about touching people, but he never touched anyone. He was in a mental health crisis, yelling things.
I think Donald Trump is probably going to find a good way to commemorate Penny. Maybe we'll see him walk out at the next UFC fight. Maybe he'll put him in the cabinet. I don't know. But this is the type of situation where you're going to see these two guys together very soon.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? And I believe it. I think that's the truest words that were spoken on Fox yesterday. Guys, if you'd like to support me in all the research I do, it takes me hours and hours to put these outlines together and make these clips. Please subscribe. Subscriptions are the best way to support me. It's great to be able to know that I have monthly income coming in. If you would like to subscribe monthly, that would be the best way to support me. Or this is my Cash App and Venmo. Someone asked what it means to tap the screen. If you tap the screen, that's when those hearts appear, and it helps with, boosting the live and the algorithm and getting it found more like on the For You page. So I just want to play that one more time because I think Jesse Waters nailed it.
I think Donald Trump is probably going to find a good way to commemorate Penny. Maybe we'll see him walk out at the next UFC fight. Maybe he'll put him in the cabinet. I don't know. But this is the type of situation where you're going to see these two guys together very soon.
And I think we will. Truly, I do. I think we will see them together very soon because he's a hero.
Good day for America. I started by saying that Danny Penny was acquitted. This guy is arrested. But good day for America. I started by saying that Danny Penny was acquitted. This guy is arrested.
Yeah, we've set legal precedent that you can unalive a black man in a mental health crisis and there will be no consequences. Huzzah. That's the message of Fox News. We've set more legal precedent that the value of black Americans' lives is exponentially lower than the value of white Americans' lives.
Into it later. The Instagram posts from nutbag people, which I was sent in the commercial break earlier, crazy. Like, he's cute, and people celebrating this. This is a sickness. Honestly, it's so disappointing, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And up next, the other big news out of New York, Daniel Penny. A lot of people think he's a hero, and tonight he's not guilty. My take next.
Don't worry, I got her take after the commercial break for you guys. Prepare to be sickened.
Mangione isn't a hero. He's a zero. And as a New York jury found, Daniel Penny isn't a killer. He's a good Samaritan. And
that's the bottom line on Fox News. You unalive a man in a... Thank you so much, W. Thank you for subscribing, Nenas. I totally appreciate it. It's amazing. Thank you for the support. But can you imagine, though? Can you imagine? I mean, that's the reality on Fox. That is the story. That is what all day long I watched for all yesterday. This is the story. Daniel Penny, hero, unhoused, poor black man in a mental health crisis. You unalive him, hero, rich, wealthy, $13 million a year CEO, unalived by another privileged person, another privileged male in society. Not a hero. Like, it's all are violations of bodily autonomy.
But he put his own life in jeopardy, which is, as Christians, we're supposed to lay down our lives if necessary and love our neighbor. I think he was actually trying to love his neighbors. And unfortunately, it ended up as resulting in another individual's death. But that's an amazing young man, in my view.
Couldn't you say, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I don't think it's right to violate someone's bodily autonomy. W, thank you so much for subscribing, Jolie. But couldn't she be talking about Luigi as well? Like, listen, it could be either one, right? How do we know who she's talking about?
But he put his own life in jeopardy, which is, as Christians, we're supposed to lay down our lives if necessary and love our neighbor. I think he was actually trying to love his neighbors, and unfortunately it ended up as resulting in another individual's death. But that's an amazing young man, in my view.
Unfortunately, it resulted in another individual's unaliving. We're talking about a 6-minute chokehold of someone in a mental health crisis. People exited the train. There was no one left to be in danger, and he continued holding him in a chokehold. You can't even argue. If he had released him at the point everyone got off the train, maybe it could logically make sense. Even then, kept going.
Let me just help you understand. If you're on the American left tonight, here's my chart. The good guys today, Daniel Penny. The bad guys, Luigi Mangione. It seems to me,
how do you?
Everybody
what's
on the
the
left.
chart for victims?
I'm just telling you what I see out in the world.
I know.
What I
want you
see
to
out in the
finish
world
the
today.
chart. Which victim is good and
Make
which
your own
victim is
chart.
bad.
What I'm telling you is
That's not on the same page?
People on the left can't seem to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys.
People on the left. I'm asking you whether you consider this person.
We had people praising
I want
Luigi
to know
and
whether you think that, as Congressman Crane does.
No, and she's completely right. She's saying which victim is bad, right? We have two victims, right? We have two victims. And somehow in one case, the victim who was in a mental health crisis and had no home to go to has no value. And the person that unalived that victim is in fact a hero. And it's not a left or right issue. I said that. Like, the more research you do on Luigi, this is a person who retweeted Tucker Carlson, followed Elon Musk. Like, I don't know that he was a Democrat. I don't know that. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about his voting record. I don't even know that that's true. That's just something that Fox News is saying. Like, I have never heard anyone confirm his voting record or like say, hey, he was like a young Democrat or something. I've never heard any of that, just to be clear, because someone's saying like, why are they making this a right or left issue? It's a false equivalence. It's not even about that. What is an honest thing to say is there are two victims. And for some reason, when Black men in this country who are in mental health crises are unalived, whoever does it is a hero. That is the question. I don't think Luigi's a hero. I don't think he is. But I'm curious as to why Daniel Penny is.
Members went up and began effectively threatening his life. And then out on the courtroom steps, BLM leaders were saying, well, it's time for us to be vigilantes and, go kill people, effectively. Like, we need to go out and we need to, take blood for this. That seems like a direct
I should just say, I didn't personally hear any of that. I don't know if that happened. Benny Thompson has many times been caught saying things that are either misinformation or disinformation. I listened to some of the press conference that happened after the verdict, and I never heard that happen, what he's saying. So I just want to be clear, like, and as someone that clearly has poured over this, I never heard that.
threat. Would you be in favor of potential charges against the people who are like now threatening Daniel Penny's life? And just like, it just clearly can't be allowed, right? The guy went through this horrible process, and now they're just going to take matters in their own hands. No.
Yeah, absolutely. If they broke the law, then absolutely I'm in favor, of them facing charges for breaking the law. But like I said, it's a good day here in this country that Daniel Penny got off, and I love the signal that it sends to other Americans out there who still have a heart to do the right thing, want to do the right thing, and they know that there's still a chance that if you find yourself in a situation like that, you can protect innocent civilians and not go to jail for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Isn't that great news that you can unalive a black man in a mental health crisis who never touched anyone and not be held accountable for it? That, by the way, this is a representative that's Eli Crane. He's from Arizona, where I'm stuck. We have I don't know about the 119th Congress. In the 118th Congress, we had the most Freedom Caucus members, including Eli Crane. Yeah. Isn't that great news, guys? Isn't that the best news? Jasmine says, your show is amazing. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here, Jasmine. And I will continue to do it because we need to call out the receipts. Thank you so much, Joanna, for the gift. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for the support. So... Oh, God. And Scott Jennings, this man on CNN is the bane of my existence.
Can't seem to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys.
People on the left. I'm asking you whether you consider this person.
We had people praising
I want to know whether you think that, as Congressman Crane does.
This is why whenever I'm in debates on TikTok and someone starts with the premise of laws are moral, I say, no, they're not, right? They're utilitarian, right? They might be necessary to maintain law and order, but I'll never say that laws are moral. To me, laws are not good and they're not bad because people like this start from premises like that. One is good and one is bad. No, there's nuance. Life is complicated, right? Just listen again to how gross what he's saying is.
Can't seem to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys.
People on the left. I'm asking you whether you consider this person.
We had people praising.
I want to know whether you think that, as Congressman Crane does, that Daniel Penny should get the Congressional Gold Medal to recognize his heroism. I'm not asking you about anyone.
I think he ought to get a medal. I think he ought to build a statue of this guy in New York City.
This is the reality that we live in. This is America. Truly, this is America. This is where we live. I want to show you one last clip because I like for my own mental health, we got to wrap this up soon. But I want to show you like one of the BLM leaders in New York that did speak at that press conference that I said I watched. Some of. I'll just show you what she said. She spoke at the press conference and then she was on God, he used to be in mainstream media. Now I'm forgetting. Dan Abrams. Dan Abrams. Yes, that's it. I was going to say J.J. Abrams. I was like, no, that's someone in Hollywood. So she spoke at the press conference and then she spoke on Dan Abrams' show after.
CHIVONA-NEWSOME. I'm the co-founder of Black Lives Matter in New York. And I'm a devout Christian. And in my Bible, thou shalt not kill. In the Torah, thou shalt not kill. In Buddhism, not kill a living thing. But America has no morals, no soul. Our bloods have paved the streets of this nation since its inception. It was foolish of us to think that a black man would get justice in the system designed to... My heart bleeds for the Neely family. My heart bleeds for his father, who sat in front of me every single day and prayed for justice for his son. There is no one coming to save black people, or else we wouldn't live in these ghettos, we wouldn't be in these prisons, and we... NEWSOME. I'm the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Greater New York. Father, who sat in front of me every single day and prayed for justice for his son. There is no one coming to save black people, or else we wouldn't live in these ghettos, we wouldn't be in these prisons, and we would be further along than we are. We wouldn't be at the absolute bottom. So forgive me for being jaded and cynical, but once we saw those 9 white jurors, we knew that this case was over. 9 white jurors. How can there not be an uproar that the same person who got off Kyle Rittenhouse, who got off O.J. Simpson, was used here? And shame on you, celebrities and politicians who claim not to be racist, because the racists spoke loud and clear. John McCain's daughter, she had something to say. I think she incited a riot for the right. Phil Mickelson, he had something to say. Kid Rock donated $3 million. And if you look on social media and you look at the hatred spewed across against us, against black people, against a man who was sick. Because when there's a crisis of drugs in America, I'm sorry, it's only a crisis when it's a white person, an opioid crisis. Jordan was labeled a drug addict.
And notice that, please, because this is part of what we learned from black feminists, right? Black feminists point out a mental health crisis is used to defend a white male with a pew-pew, right? He was in a mental health crisis. He was in a bad place, right? But a black man in a mental health crisis is a danger to society. You have to start noticing the language and how these things are positioned, right? If a white man is in a mental health crisis, sympathy is in order. Leniency is in order. If a black man is in a mental health crisis, necessary force, right? I mean, Andy, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for supporting my show. Yeah, it's the differences in language, right? A black person in a mental health crisis is a danger to society. A white person in a mental health crisis needs our, love and support. That is the difference.
With a crackhead. The only crime that Jordan Neely was guilty of racist, because the racist spoke loud and clear. John McCain's daughter, she had something to say. I think she incited a riot for the right. Phil Mickelson, he had something to say. Kid Rock donated $3 million. And if you look on social media and you look at the hatred spewed across against us, against black people, against a man who was sick. Because when there's a crisis of drugs in America, I'm sorry, it's only a crisis when it's a white person, an opioid crisis. Jordan was labeled a drug addict and labeled a crackhead. The only crime that Jordan Neely was guilty of was the color of his skin.
Come on.
But luckily for Daniel Penny, his skin was not like Jordan's, because you honestly wouldn't have seen our face. The NYPD would have arrested him after 3 hours. The justice system would have found him guilty. And shame on this jury. Because to be real, they didn't even try. Once the lesser charge was removed, they came back an hour later and said it was deadlock. Less than an hour and 20 minutes later, they said not guilty. These wonderful white people, I hope they celebrate their Christmas while the Neely family is praying and asking God for comfort. Goddamn them and goddamn America.
I'm not going to cry, but Jesus. Anyways, so later she was on Dan Abrams' show. I'm just going to play it because I can't even talk right now.
Diverse Manhattan jury. Why? Well, it was 4 people of color. That's known typically as
there during jury selection. Black women were shut out for having unconventional hair, but there were 9 white jurors.
Sorry, is that what they said? They said it was for unconventional hair? You're just presuming
it was
that.
Unconventional hair.
A juror was dismissed for having unconventional hair. That's made up.
No, it's not.
Which lawyer said that?
The defense attorney.
Which one? He said what?
He said that she had unconventional hair because her hair was purple, that she would have unconventional thoughts. And were you in the court?
No, I was not. I was not. But I understand. But the idea is right. Well, but again, the notion that she's being dismissed because of her hair. I assume you're assuming it's because of her race, right?
I mean, it absolutely was about weight.
Right.
Why was the expert jury consultant brought in who got off people for OJ, who had a racial trial, who brought in Kyle Rittenhouse, a young man who bought an AR-15 and killed Americans exercising their
What does Kyle Rittenhouse have to do with it?
Because the jury expert who clearly got off Daniel Penny today,
it's the jury, it's not the jurors, right? Not the jurors who heard the case, right?
This woman specialized for 35 years in the psychology of juries.
Right.
She specialized in race.
You know how many of those specialists lose their cases?
Well, not this.
A lot of them.
That's why Daniel Penny took the great money of people who hate black people to pay her.
So it had to have been race, right? It's not possible. So here's my theory on this. And it's actually a reverse race thing, which I think you're going to really disagree with, right? Well, I'll tell you what. I don't think this case would have been charged if it had been a white victim and a white person who had held him in a chokehold. I don't even think there'd be charges in that.
I think it actually would. And I actually think that you'd be calling Daniel Penny a murderer. Have you heard of Nathaniel Terry? A 27-year-old black man. He was an absolute monster in 2021. He killed an unidentified to this day homeless man in the project staircase. Did you see BLM come out for that type of monster? So, like, grant our credibility. When do we come out for cases that are not racially charged, would normally be ignored?
Why is this a race case? Did Daniel Penny say anything racist when it happened?
What is the labeling and the stereotypes? Daniel Penny, when he lied during interrogations, which no one is showing.
But answer my question. When was the race? When did he bring race into this?
A crackhead. And he said he was doing crackhead things. The problem is, Daniel Penny showed no remorse for nothing he did. And that dishonors the real service people of this country. The real
think about, and believe me, we can get into it. I understand, like, it's politically charged, but think about the sympathy for Hunter Biden's addiction. Think about it right now in your head. If you are a rich, white, Nepo baby in this country and you fall victim to addiction, think about the never-ending empathy and sympathy this nation has from you and how they root for you to overcome it. That is what she is pointing out, right?
The real Marines who don't lie, who care for others, and who do no harm.
So do you not blame Jordan Neely at all? I mean, for what he did? He deserves no blame from your perspective, right?
Did you hear the witness testimony?
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question. Do you blame Jordan Neely at all for his conduct?
If Jordan Neely was a white man, we'd be saying it was an opioid crisis. He was hungry. He was mentally ill. He had a muffin in his pocket.
I wouldn't be if there were other... What about the...
He did. He had a muffin in his pocket. He was screaming that he was hungry, right?
What about the witnesses? Let's play again, just so we're clear on the race.
Eddie Gibson, who begged Daniel Neely to stop.
Oh, yeah, and he stayed there throughout the incident.
Play the ones to fit the narrative.
But what's the narrative? There's black women who were on the subway. It was mostly people of color on the subway.
What about a white man during cross-examination who said that he was afraid of Daniel Penny, the one who poured water onto his head and said that he was afraid? He was a white man.
Yeah, okay. So,
what about the Latino man who was holding his arms?
I'm not the one identifying everyone by race. You are. You're the one who keeps telling. Why? Why do you have to? There was nothing in this case.
The FBI, when you look at when hate crimes happen, when you look at when injustice happen to black people,
but let's agree. Let's agree to some. Look, I'm going to be doing a segment later this week on a missing black woman who has not been getting nearly enough attention. By the media, because I understand that, and to that degree, you have a fair point about the way sometimes the media and the justice system handles, but not this case. This case, even the prosecutors conceded Daniel Penny had every right to go hands-on, and the question became, okay, when should he have stopped? I understand that.
The time frame on that from the DA's office was after 30 seconds. Can you not concede that Daniel Penny was a trained killer, that he not have his gray belt, a United States Marine Corps an assassin?
Sure, but
he knew.
Every Marine is a trained
because actually, black Marines and white Marines have reached out and actually told us he went too far.
But going too far is different from criminal.
Let me break it down. A chokehold, a blood chokehold, which he did. You're only supposed to hold someone in that move for 8 to 13 seconds. You're not supposed to do it longer than 2 minutes. Why did Daniel Penny, when the train was completely clear, everyone was on the platform, why did he hold it for nearly 2 minutes?
Because he was scared.
A Marine is scared of of someone he labeled as a crackhead.
Again, is it not possible that Daniel Penny, when he's doing this on the spot, stepping up to help people of many different races, moves in and doesn't have a clock with him to decide when he should stop?
6 minutes, you're brain dead at that point. I mean, does anyone understand what happens to drowning victims? Like, the absurdity of what this man is saying. Everybody walked off the train. Nobody was even there anymore.
And when he shouldn't, which is why in the end the jury acquitted, right?
No, actually, Daniel Penny was trained very well by the United States Marine Corps, and he knew what the signs were. He knew when Jordan's body was slacking. He knew that Jordan was going to die. Why didn't you show his face, Dan? You're a good man. When he laughed and when the first, I'm critical of the police. We know this, right? NYPD tried to save his life while they were doing chest compressions. Daniel Penny laughed and said, trust me, a good person, a hero. One last thing. Why did he never ask about the well-being in that police department about Jordan Neely?
So you're asking a lot of questions that are sort of rhetorical questions, right? But the ultimate question is, why did the jury acquit? Is it because they're racist?
America is inherently biased.
So the jury is the jury.
Yep. Them's the facts. Yeah. Listen, I don't care. Like, we're talking about somebody who was trained in the military. You don't you are unaliving someone 2 minutes. They're no longer moving. You're talking about 6 minutes. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. She said America is inherently racist, right? We're talking about systemic racism that's baked into all of us, right? It's the same reason that it is a fact that once it's dark outside, African Americans, Black people are pulled over less frequently when cops do not know if a person what color a person inside the car is. You can look this up. I mean, there's it's statistics, it's data. This is not about opinion. Right? That's what, we can get into it, but that's what CRT is. It's about, we know through data, through impact studies, right, that there is systemic bias in our system. And CRT is about talking about those systems, how they interact with each other, looking at that statistical data, doing impact studies and see how people are disproportionately affected by it, and then talking about how to rectify it. It's data. Thank you so much for subbing, guys. Thank you so much for supporting. I think thank you for subscribing, Andy. If I missed any subs, I truly appreciate it. You guys don't even know. Even making this outline was absolutely now you guys see what kind of day I had going through all this stuff. I've been doing this since 3 a.m. But that's the point of the people's receipts, is to just show what is going on in America, right? What people are saying, to forever put it on the internet. Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much for subscribing. It's depressing, but we must bear witness to it. That's how I feel about it, right? We can't let any of this stuff happen without bearing witness. See, I want to burst into tears. It's sad. But thank you guys so much for the support. I'm going to go now and cry in the bottom of the shower. But I love you guys so much, and I'll be back tomorrow with a fresh episode of What the F is Going On. And think about it, Trump's not even in office yet. We have a long time of this. Anyways, I just want to, that is the story on Fox News for the last 36 hours. That man's a hero for holding someone in a mental health crisis in a chokehold for 6 minutes. He gets a statue, according to Republicans. Make it make sense. I don't get it, but that's the world we are now living in. Anyways, have a great day, guys.
I don't know. It's brand
All
new.
y'all
We don't
outright
fucking know.
me consistently, and I'm always able to jump straight in with y'all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's true.